You can mention that in the live too if the discussion
Michael
comes.
Orr was the pick.
Exactly.
It made some picks that it was just questionable.
Oh man, don't even do Greg Robinson, Busville from the get-go. It wasn't even questionable. It was immediately visible in film. They ran full college offense. It didn't fit anything NFL scheme-wise. When he got to the NFL and he was asked to basically do something more than block the guy in front of him, Greg Robinson, whole world was shot.
Yeah. Very true.
That was
all right. Let's get this. Oh wow, we already got a question from one. Okay, we already got some people in here. We got John and we got One Pride. All right, dude. One Pride. Like I swear, he's in every live. All right. Here we go. We're at it. All right. Welcome to the live, everyone. I got some pretty cool guests here. We got Avery, Giavonni here. I think he's got over 500 subscribers now. I think he got 502 now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then we got Ram's house on the right. Everyone kind of knows this genius on the right. So we're just going to kind of be talking football, and we'll talk about some of the things you guys want to talk about. And yeah, I guess the first order of business that I heard that we kind of talked about is what's everyone's thoughts on the Lions? And yeah, let's start with Avery since you're the newest guest, and I've had Ram's house on before. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the 2021 Lions?
I see a 7-win team, playoff team. That's what I see right now.
7 wins to playoffs?
7 wins to playoffs, yeah. I see a very positive atmosphere. I see a good coaching staff. It's my belief that a good coaching staff can get the most out of their players. I know it sounds ridiculous. They have a top 3 edge rusher or a top 4 edge rusher in Aquara, which, I mean, that tells you right there. And then we have a guy we can rely on to get 7 sacks. I think the defense is going to be more productive. I don't see nothing but good things. I really don't.
Okay. What about you, Rams house?
I don't like giving predictions this early, but I think 7 wins to playoffs we're in the same wheelhouse there, I think. And it's funny you mentioned Cora. I think you guys will have a top 10 edge combo in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Very true. For me and my thoughts, I think we're all kind of the 7-win to playoff boat. I mean,
getting hooked up over there, Avery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got a loved one. Married man.
I think we're all kind of in the 7-win to playoff boat. I mean, I really think any answer past playoffs is a bit of a hopium thing. But I don't think we're going to be like the same old Lions. I don't think we're a 4-win or 3-win or 1-win team. We got. In my opinion, we actually are kind of improved at everything but receiver. And quarterback is a maybe. I don't know. I'm a big Goff guy. I know Rams house is a big Goff guy, but at the same time, I don't know. Perfectly, he hasn't even had a preseason snap yet.
I don't think Goff is a upgrade over Stafford right now. I think 2 years from now it's very possible. But right now I don't think it's even questionable. Stafford is a better quarterback right now. He's more seasoned. Mm-hmm. Goff is still getting over the mistakes that Stafford got over 4 years ago, which is acceptable. He's that age. That's what young pocket quarterbacks do. They make those mistakes. It's really about whether he can grow out of that stuff. So I also don't think it's necessary for Goff to be better than Stafford for this team to be successful at all. And when you say that the wide receiver core is arguably not better, I mean, I think it's more fair to say we don't know yet. We don't know what anyone is going to bring to the table on this wide receiver core yet. You guys think that's fair?
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. We had. Oh, go ahead.
I was just say Amon-Ra St. Brown is really. I mean, geez, I've watched most of his college film at this point, and I don't know what to do with this guy. I mean, I don't understand how he made it to the 4th round.
Yeah.
His college system wasn't exactly working in his favor, and he still was really, really good. And his film isn't like a lot of guys in college who are just kind of like finding themselves open. He's got contested catches. He's got some nice route running ability. He has this one ability that reminds me of Antonio Brown, which is his ability to kind of like separate at the end of a route rather than at the break point. A lot of his deep catches, if you watch them, he'll be neck and neck. And as the ball's thrown, he just breaks 4 yards in front of his guy. It's a really odd and unique skill. And if you watch some Antonio Brown film, you're going to see a lot of similarities. Actually, Luke G and I were talking about it, and he was like, I don't know, man. I said, dude, watch some highlights of Antonio Brown right now. We were on StreamYard chatting together, and he watched it. He goes, oh, we're going to have to talk about this some more because this is actually – it's eerie how similar they are. So I don't want to put a cap on it. Everyone wants to be like, oh, well, a lot of people take the kind of I don't know how you want to put it, the gentle approach where they're like, oh, I don't want to be too high on a guy that's taken in the 4th round. Well, dude, Antonio Brown was taken in the 5th round. We can go, Stephon Diggs was taken in the 5th round. We can go over this. Mm-hmm. The round you're taking doesn't matter. What kind of skill do you have? And Amon-Ra, he's a hands catcher. He's fast enough. He's not slow. He's a 4.51. That's faster than Antonio Brown. It's faster than Robert Woods. It's faster than Cooper Kupp. Faster than a lot of really good receivers in the NFL. His agility skills, his 3-cone, his 20-yard shuttle were really good. So he's got some good footwork. He's a natural hands catcher. He's a good route runner. I mean, he does contested catches. I don't really know. And he even has some yak ability. A couple of those plays, especially the running plays he had where he did end arounds, stuff like that. He's got some ability to make some wiggle ability, some ability to make people miss. I don't have a cap to put on this guy. And I don't think he's necessarily going to be freaking MVP wide receiver year 1, but I'm not going to cap him. I'm not going to cap him and be like, oh, he'll be okay as a 4th rounder. Like, I don't think that's fair. We have too many examples of late round picks being dominant at their position to pretend like he can't be good because he's a 4th round pick. I'm not gonna pussyfoot the answer and just say, oh yeah, well, I'm not gonna expect much from a 4th rounder. I think he's super talented. I don't know why he went so late. Tyrell Williams has showed us he could be a decent number 1. I don't think he's a superstar number 1, but here's the thing: the Lions don't need a superstar number 1. I think that's the most important part that people keep missing. When you have a complete wide receiver room, you don't need a number 1 guy. And I challenged people in Discord a couple of days ago. I said, find me a team with a number 1 receiver that doesn't have a complete wide receiver room that won a Super Bowl. You're going to have a lot of trouble finding that anytime recently because it doesn't happen.
I just want to piggyback off your point. People are not going to love that he's a 4th round pick. You know what? Amon-Ra, he's a pretty good player. Steve Largent was a 4th round pick. You can get real value out of the 4th round, I think. In the first 4 rounds, I think you can get some real value. I just really want to add to his college tape. So what I saw, Pac-12, a lot of guys just run open. USC, they would just run open. A lot of guys aren't getting press man all the time, especially him. But I actually found out something. His offensive coordinator's philosophy, he changed offensive coordinators or changed a person who put in the play calls. And one of the things that person did was kind of put him out of position his sophomore year, junior year, because his freshman year, he was a dog. And they just put him out of position, asked him to do things he could just because he had the skill set. I think that type of experience, even though it dropped him probably to the 4th round, he should be like a 2nd round receiver.
Yep.
I think that benefited him because he was just asked to do things. And he was, his passionate blocker. This guy speaks 5 languages. He has the character, you know what I'm saying? He has the character to be on this team. But just being asked to do things just because, I think really benefited him. And I think the Lions are going to put him in the best position to win. I think that's the slot. If you have Perriman on the outside as your X, you have Williams as your Y or vice versa. That is so much speed in that just him and Hawkinson can operate so well if they have that speed and space mentality. If you can get him on a bubble screen, you got to still be aware of the deep ball. It's just going to be so amazing to see how they use him. And I think he's like fast enough to be an X or be a wide receiver.
I actually think that's I think that's the beautiful part of his game is that he's interchangeable outside inside now because of what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's gonna prove to be big because I think in the end, I think we're going to figure out that Cephas is a better receiver than Perriman.
Yeah. You know, it don't take a whole day to recognize Sunshine. I think we're giving Perriman a shot because he has that athlete. They want athletes, you know.
Yeah.
That's but at the end, Perriman has a job.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to get to training camp and they're going to see that Cephas has these big, strong hands, and he catches with his hands every single time. I watched Cephas's tape last night or the night before, and that man catches with his hands all the time. It's just it's ingrained in his brain.
He's another guy who was supposed to be a second-round pick. Some issues got in there, some allegations and all that got in there.
And a bad combine.
Yeah, absolutely. 4.6. You can't run in a 4.6.
Well, Allender had a bad pro day, according to Jerry Rice or some of the receivers. We and you were talking about the other day, Rams house. He said they were saying he caught it lazily, and that scared some people.
Oh yeah, so that wasn't something I noticed from. We're talking about Ron St. Brown now, Avery. He had his pro day. He wasn't attacking the ball. He was kind of like letting the ball come to him, and he wasn't aggressive. And he was really aggressive in his route running, and you could tell that's what he was focused on. He was showing off his route running, and he was very lazy in the way he was going after the ball. And I saw it immediately, and I pointed it out to analytics then. And then 2 days later, Herman Moore makes a video about it and goes, the only thing I don't like about this man's pro day is he's really letting the ball come to him. And I was like, oh, cool. That's some nice validation right there.
Yeah, that's great that a pro person said that. And obviously, I know people are watching you. I know people are watching analytics then. You'll be surprised how many people or who watches what. You'll be surprised. I think that I agree with you, but you know what? This is what bothers me about him is the contested his ranking in contested catches.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a lot of contested catches on film, but if you compare him to other receivers, contested balls he's not getting as many. But what I will say is I don't listen to the scouts and the combines because I banged on the door for DK Metcalf. I banged on the door.
Right.
You know, I believe in replacing something while you have it, you know. So I knew Golladay wasn't going to re-sign. He had 3,000-yard receiving years. He had 900. I knew he wasn't going to resign. And if he did, he wanted to. I think he had rejected that offer. I'm like, wow. DK Metcalf came out 2 years ago. I'm like, him and DK Metcalf. You put Jones in the slot. We have weapons. Weapons. And I remember people telling me we don't need a receiver. We have the best receiving core in the league. And that was a thing. That was a conversation that I kept having last year. I'm like, we should trade for him or something. We should do something like this. This is the guy. This is the guy. I remember wanting to draft him, and Seattle had drafted him. They had traded with New England to draft him. I'm like, there goes our receiver. And now we need all these receivers because all our receivers' contract ended last year or this year. And
talk about mismanagement. Jeez, how does he let that happen?
I just don't know. I'm all for Victor Bolden. All those guys, Tom Kenny, are putting in work. They're going to rookie mini camps and they're making themselves available to golf, flying out to see golf in LA. And I commend that. But sometimes you just want to have that definitive X and that definitive Y receiver. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think this is actually one of the spots where Lynn's going to come in handy with his experience as an offensive coordinator. I think in the end, what we're going to see from the receiving core is a heavy reliance on Swift and Hawkinson and Jamal Williams when he plays. Because I'll tell you what I did see. I watched a lot of Swift film in the last couple of days, and that man sucks at pass protection. He's not good at it at all. And that will keep him off the field with professional guys like Dan Campbell who've played in the league before, and pass pro being like a fundamental piece. These old school guys are not going to put up with that. Mm-hmm. Swift may find his butt on the bench on a lot of passing downs if he can't get that straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
But Jamal Williams is one of the best pass protection guys in the NFL. So you see a trend there. Like they saw a weakness and they addressed it with a strength, which is excellent. Mm-hmm. But I think in the end, it's going to end up being Tyrell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Cephas. I think Cephas and Amon-Ra can both play. So we're talking, comparing to the Rams, for example, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods both take turns in the slot and on the outside. Cooper Kupp's more often in the slot, but he plays outside sometimes. They go to trip bunches. They do all kinds of things, and Robert Woods comes inside often too. I think they'll do more stuff like that, where Amon-Ra will kind of share time at the outside and the inside.
This guy knows.
I don't think Perriman's gonna. I really want Perriman to do good. I feel like he's just never fully gotten a chance, but I just don't see him winning a job over the other three guys.
Yeah. When I look at Perriman's situation, it's real unique because he came to a team where, his father, the story is more compelling than the person to me.
Right.
This time, him coming out of minicamp, I haven't heard nothing about him except drop passes. I've heard that one day out of their minicamp or their off-season program. I heard him blow by Marlowe, the safety, which I think is obvious because Dean Marlowe's a dude off the street. And I'm not trying to disrespect Dean Marlowe. I just don't think he's the guy. I don't see him necessarily starting. He might be the fourth receiver. I just
agree.
Think he might be the fourth receiver, and I'm glad he has a 1-year commitment because I want athletes on the field, but it doesn't make no sense if I have to throw the ball. If I have to throw the ball and you already beat the man, but you have no hands to catch the ball. That doesn't. I literally have had guys like Hawkinson, Calvin Johnson, Nate Burleson come through here and put more emphasis on catching the ball, and especially Calvin because his hands were broken, his fingers were broken,
right,
catching the ball. So, as it stands right now, I'm really high. I hope his story, continues and becomes more compelling and he wins. But realistically, when I look at it, I don't see he doesn't convey himself to be a person who, is really for Detroit anyway. So I really don't care. He's just a person passing through as far as I'm concerned. Campbell has conveyed himself to be a person for Detroit. Even Amon-Ra said, I like this hard working mentality. Like, at least do a media or something. Do something. Like, I heard nothing from you. Plus, I've seen nothing from you. And then the first pass he gets, I guarantee you, he might drop it.
And that's part of the problem, isn't it? Is possible. That's a possibility, and that's what's a bit scary. So, yeah, I don't. I watched Dion's video he made recently on the wide receiver core, and I've just been studying the film on these guys, and I just don't. I think it's an area where the media is really underrating the team right now, because they don't have the names, but like you said, athleticism. When we're talking about Perriman, athleticism has never been something receivers have been. I mean, Jerry Rice wasn't very athletic.
Right.
I mean, Tim Brown. We could go over the all-time greats. Larry Fitzgerald. They're not fast. They're not crazy athletic. They have great route running skills and they have great hands. That's it. That's all it takes.
What did you think about that N'Keal Harry situation? What did you think about that N'Keal Harry being on trade block? Did you want him to stir up the receiver core?
It's the same thing as I thought about Todd Gurley. Meh. Don't really care. If they get him and they give him a chance, cool. Maybe he turns it around. But I wouldn't have given up anything more than a conditional 6th-round pick.
Okay.
A conditional 6th-round, conditional on him getting some snaps, earning some snaps.
Right.
So the idea is nice, but we've got enough of these prove-it guys. And, if he gets cut, let's send him $1.5 million for a prove-it deal, like we did with Perriman. Sure, it ain't gonna hurt us.
The weakest position for me is kicker. I know there's skill position players on this team, on this roster, and we could say, oh, this is a weakness, this is a weakness. They all bring something to the table. I think that can be coached. I think you have Antoine Randall, who led to Perriman's success in Tampa Bay. His one season where he had 100 yards for 4 straight games, 126 in his last game there.
He did something similar with the Jets too, where he had a streak of games. But it's just like, bro, consistency, man.
Yeah, it's consistency. Amon-Ra is probably going to be a staple of consistency.
So is Cephas.
Yeah, so it's Cephas, and I don't think that athleticism wins too often if you can't catch the ball. But the kicker is probably the weakest position for me, and backup quarterback to me. God forbid something happens to Goff. I know I keep saying that. I'm knocking on wood, but I think this team has a chance to win. I look at teams like the '05 Bears. They had no excuse to win. They had no possible. Previous year they went 5-11. And then 2005, with very little free agency activity, they had a quarterback go down in the preseason. Missed half the season. They were starting Kyle Orton. He had 1,800 yards. He got sacked 30 times. They were without their starting left tackle for 2-3 weeks. They started 1-3. I can go on and on. I'm giving you real content today. They had a Cedric Benson. Cedric Benson was their first round pick. He held out all training camp. Had no excuse to win. Went 11-5.
Cedric Benson. Now that when you say that now, it sounds funny.
Right. Yeah, I understand what you mean, but we have no excuse to be lower or lose because there's teams that have just came out of nowhere. 2001 Rams, the New Orleans Saints, in 06. And they had position worries. They had people was meeting the Rams with trepidation. Oh, they have Trent Green. They have a couple names, Marshall Faulk. They got first, Isaac Bruce, and then they got in Torrey Holt. And we're 6-win team. We're building something. They went to the Super Bowl. It's just, come on, man. We can't. We're primed. If we play like we need to play, and Coach Campbell, Aaron Glenn,
scheme is good.
Scheme is very good. What do you think the scheme is going to be? More Chargers based, more Saints based? What do you think?
I'd imagine on offense, definitely more Chargers based. I think Campbell's smart enough to just hey, Lynn, you do this. This is your specialty. Here are the reins. I trust you. I can't imagine he handicaps after all the talking he's done. And with the respect that I would have for Anthony Lynn if I was Campbell, I can't imagine he handicaps. I do think, though, I like the mentality of everyone's got a voice, right? So I think Campbell's going to have a voice in it. I think Jared's going to have a voice in it. And I think that really changes a lot of things. And although I think from watching some Chargers film, I think the Chargers are going to run something more to Goff's liking and his experience than the Rams were. In a lot of ways. So I think it's going to be a bit of a mixture, but I think Chargers will probably be the dominating factor there. And I've talked about this before because everyone has been like, oh, they're going to become a super heavy run team. Well, Anthony Lynn's his history isn't super heavy running. As much as we all want that to be the truth, he's basically middle of the pack on running.
I mean, he's had 3 top 5 running games everywhere he's been.
So Jets. He means in rushing attempts.
I mean attempts. Yeah. So the idea that he's going to rush nonstop, that's not true. But
rushing attempts.
Yeah. So when it comes to quality, it's a whole different story because
absolutely.
What he does is he gives the appearance of running the ball a lot because he runs a lot at the right times.
Right.
And so it makes it seem like, oh, this guy runs all the time. No, he just stays with conventional wisdom. Should I run on 1st and 10? Yeah, probably a good time to run the ball. It's like he's not a guy who's like always trying to outsmart everyone else by, oh, I'm gonna throw it 50 yards on 1st and 10 interception. It's like he's not trying to outthink everyone. He sticks to conventional wisdom. He doesn't stray from the run, and he's consistent about it, which is the most important parts of running game.
There's times where he consistently mismanaged games that I'm concerned about, i.e., Chargers versus Atlanta. In Atlanta was a mismanagement of special teams. You had to kick the ball to be within 6, and then your defense goes out there, does what defense does. You get the ball back. There's been consistent times where his mismanagement. I mean, even the special teams duty that he assumed last year after he was so fed up with special teams, He assumed the special teams duty. And then, special teams was even worse at him with him at the helm. I hope he has a condensed role. I think he's a guy that can, run at the right times. Like you say, he's dealt with LaDainian Tomlinson. He's had Sean Green. He's had Thomas Jones. He's had number 1 rushing attacks. And then his time as an interim for the Bills, he had a top 5 running attack. Yeah, with LaShawn McCoy. So he's a guy who knows what he's doing as far as that goes and running at the right times. I'm just concerned about him in situational.
I don't think any
left. It's 13 to 20. It's 5 minutes left. You're on the 50. I really need you to waste this clock and then try to punch it in. I really need you to waste this clock.
From what it looks like, it's going to be a kind of combined effort on situational football. I think I think that's the reason he's not a head coach anymore. And I like Alin, but he's just not been it as a head coach. But he's it as an offensive play caller, which is all that we need. So I think he'll do really well in this role. I think Campbell's just the guy, because what does a great leader do? A great leader says, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for. I know you have the tools to get the job done. Now take it home." Like, it's exactly the kind of guy that an older, experienced coach like Anthony Lynn wants to work with. Someone who's going to put trust in him and is going to allow him to do what he does best.
One Pride 40 says our weakest position is definitely safety.
I think. Go ahead. I don't know. I think people are sleeping on Tracy Walker personally. I think Tracy Walker is gonna surprise a lot of people. You got to think about how bad the rest of the defense has been and how mismanaged Tracy Walker has been in his career thus far. Tracy Walker is a good deep safety. He was in college. He has been whenever he's been allowed to play that way for the Lions, with no D-line to speak of in front of him. So no consistent run stopping. What happens to a safety, a deep safety, when he's constantly having to attack the run game because the front seven can't do it?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to constantly find himself biting on play action passes. There's a long-term effect that happens from that kind of stuff. And I think that is where the defense is going to improve the most, is against the run, because that's what Aubrey Pleasant is going to bring in. The Rams went to number one defense last year, and the biggest thing they did was stop the run. Everyone talking about Aaron Donald's pass rush. They focused on stopping the run, and then they handled the pass second. And it did wonders for that team. Number one defense by a mile, and it was because they stopped the run. And we have the core pieces here to be a good run-stopping team.
Right. No. Do you have anything else?
Well, I think the big thing that everyone's got to remember is how good our O-line's going to be. I don't care what ESPN says. We got Taylor Decker. We got Frank Ragnow, who was ranked number one by, 50 executives and all that, and coaches.
Right.
We got Jonah Jackson developing into another year, and he made all-pro rookie teams. You got Big V, and the Big V's only thing that everyone gets him credit for is his run game ability, and you got Sewell. I think that's just going to lead to a good run game. I mean, that's why everyone gives credit to Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas, is he has a good line or whatever. I feel like that's going to lead to success for the Lions as well.
Right.
I don't know. I think this line's fantastic.
Definitely the strongest unit. I don't think there's any debate in that.
Yeah. No, I think there's I see a comment that kind of bothers me. So there were several games the Lions lost. There was a one Pride 40. He says if our weakest position, Avery, is safety, then our roster or kicker, if our roster is complete, then the Lions consistently lose games. There was 5 games last year where they lost by less than 4 points. Those games could have went any other way, especially when we played the Bears. Okay, especially when we played the Bears. I think there's 5 games, and then there's other games where it was just blowouts. I mean, the Vikings on the first game we played against them, the Colts. You just can't win. I think that if we manage the game correctly, yes, and if we have a running game, we have a strong defense, and we need to put a game away and put a team on ice. We have a kicker who has blown 3 or 4 game-winning kicks when he needed it the most. This is why he got fired. This is why he got released for Cincinnati. It's why he got released for the Texans. So when I'm saying that our weakest position is kicker, I'm not saying all our situation is complete. I'm saying those positions, those inefficiencies at safety, especially with Aubrey Pleasant, who's worked with terrible secondaries and have improved I mean, he turned a wide receiver into a actual cornerback in Quentin Dunbar. When I'm saying it's our weakest position, I'm saying there's no fix for when you're down by 2 and you need a kick to score or a kick to win the game, and he goes wide right, and you lose the game, and no one cares how you lost. They just know that you lost. So there was 4 games last year where we lost by just more than 4 points, or less than 4 points. So, I just wanted to address that because we could have been 10 and you could be 10-6 right now.
The Rams had a revolving door kicker last year, so I sympathize with that, and I agree with how devastating having a bad kicker is. I mean, it's not even just as simple as missing game-winning kicks, dude. When your team has a 10-play drive, gets stalled out in the red zone, they were on the offense was on the field for 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and the kicker comes in and misses it, or they have a dynamite drive that scores a touchdown and then he misses the extra point. Those aren't just missing points. Those are blows to the whole team. It sucks to do all this really hard work and then have a freaking kicker miss a kick from 20 yards out. It's devastating. It's really bad for the psyche of the team.
And I take that back. You could be 7-9. You could, which is to me, a 7-9 with that regime. That would allow them to keep their jobs. I think so. So.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate you touching base on that.
All right. Then I want to talk about ESPN had themselves an interesting thing. They said that the Detroit Lions offensive line was ranked 29th. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm going to tell you one thing real quick to shut this whole conversation down. I am a guy who loves stats. I love analytics. But according to the same metric they use for this, Aaron Donald's one of the worst rush defenders, like run defenders in the NFL.
Oh, dang.
So can you walk us through that? How'd you come to that?
That's what the statistic that ESPN is using to grade offensive lines. They have this pass block win rate, and then it's a pass rush win rate, right? And then on the flip side, they have run block win rate and run attack win rate or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. And according to their stat, Aaron Donald is one of the worst run defenders at defensive tackle in football. Mm-hmm. So I put exactly zero stock into any of that stat whatsoever. Right. The idea that Aaron Donald is less than elite at anything at his position is laughable.
Yeah. No, ranked 29th. Okay, I'm gonna be devil's advocate. So you have let's walk through the offensive line. You have 3 first-round picks on the offensive line. No, you have 2 because Ragnow was really a third-round pick.
No, Ragnow was the first.
He was the first? Okay.
No, he was the first.
He was the first. Okay.
You're thinking Jonah Jackson.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So we have 3 first-round picks on the offensive line. Same as the 2009 Jets. Stay with me, okay? They had Mangold. They had DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I think they had – I forget the second to last one, the right tackle they had, but that was a first-round pick, okay? The offensive line was probably ranked top because of the running game previous year. Again, the 2006 to 2008 Dallas Cowboys had the best running attack in the league. They had a left tackle and Doug Free. They had Tyron Smith. Doug Free went inside. They had probably one of the best offensive line. If they talking about first round picks, we are on par with every offensive line they've ever praised, whether it was a 2009 Jets or was it 2003, 2006 Dallas Cowboys. So I think because it's Detroit. This is what I'm getting to. Because it's Detroit, and we took Sewell, we have Ragnow, and we have I think he's a good one. The left tackle, forget his name.
Taylor Decker. Yeah, he's top.
Taylor Decker. Yeah, I think he's top. He's probably 10 in that, if not better, because he did get Stafford's back messed up on that sack, and that was terrible. But that was probably a 2-year injury that was covered up by Stafford. So on par with those 3 guys, Jonah Jackson being the stud that he is, Halaputa Vaitai being a question mark. We only have one question mark on the offensive line. Only one. And to me, that's not really a question mark. We know the guy can play guard. We know he can play. He's a swing tackle. He was a swing tackle for the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. There's no excuse that this is a 29th ranked offensive line. Impossible. They want us to go to Carolina Panthers. They don't want us to win, whatever you say. But if it's 3 first-round picks, then this is why I get so mad with people that give Stafford all this credit. If he just stayed here, he would have 3 first-round picks on his offensive line. Every year, even going back to Caldwell last year, we've always drafted an offensive lineman for him. Every year we drafted some. We had some type of investment, whether it was a first, whether it was third, whether it was. It's insane to be 29th, and you have all the measurables to go nothing but up. So we should have. I would say we would be better than the Eagles' offensive line. Where are they ranked?
Mm-hmm.
Eagles' offensive line is literally terrible. Wentz had no time to throw. He had pressure in his face. They told him to move around, be mobile. That's what the offense kind of needs. And it should be better than them. So I'm going to look where they're ranked, because if we're not better than them, it's just a ploy. It's just a ploy to say, oh, this is what Detroit is. Detroit's bad, all that nonsense. So
I'll tell you where they're ranked right now. They are ranked. You're not going to like it because I'm already at 15th and I'm still scrolling up. The Eagles are ranked 7th. So there's that.
The Eagles were ranked 7th.
Wow.
Eagles are ranked 7th. Wow. You know who's ranked 6th, by the way?
Who?
The Chiefs.
The Bears?
Chiefs.
Well, the Chiefs heavily invested. They got Mike Thuney.
But you got to wait to see if that pans out, man. The Lions only replaced one guy on the O-line, and they were pretty good last year.
You got to get those guys to jail. They got a new offensive line, but all those guys is like for real Pro Bowlers.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, but here's my biggest thing. Does a person who
Seattle's
made the
fourth? Sorry, Seattle's 4th. That's bonkers.
That's
Seattle's
insane.
4th?
Yeah, they're terrible. The Cardinals are 3rd. Dude, the Cardinals hemorrhaged last year.
Can you imagine walking up to Russell Wilson and being like, you got the 4th best line, man?
That was why he was talking about leaving. Wow. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. This whole list is a joke.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So for this list, so it depends on who you go. Some places have the Lions as like 15th, I saw, and PFF has them at like 13, I believe. The O-line at least was a top 15 offense from like every article I've read. Do they really think that we're going to somehow get worse at O-line when we had Crosby at right tackle and now we got Sewell? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge Crosby hater, but Sewell is way, way more gifted than Crosby. And now you got another development year out of Jonah Jackson. I don't see how on earth you could think that the line would get worse. I understand Big V, like there's really almost no argument for him sucking last year other than some reasonable ones. But I don't think one bad right guard means the line's going to be 29th or bad. I don't know. I just think it's dumb.
The Lions just got so many question marks on them. I think, ESPN gets traction too much with us. We want to be like in this national news, but when we are, it's a problem. We just got to prove them wrong. We really do. I just can't help but I know the list is bull because the list has to include Seattle as look at who's at the top. Arizona. So, we gotta really pay more attention to who's praising us rather than who's like dissing us, because at the end of the day, no one's gonna give Detroit any credit. Like we've seen that, not to deviate, but we've seen that with the 2004 Pistons. They win a championship. It's what the Lakers did wrong, and they're talking about that for a week. It's like, why did the Lakers fail? Why did Kobe? Will Shaq be with Kobe? What will happen? And it was just a fest. Like, no one gives Detroit any credit, so I didn't expect any credit here. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's news, I guess. Who's below us? is
Miami, Giants, and let's see the last one.
Miami. Really? Okay. So that I already know that's crap because they have a great running game. They don't even need Matt Breida. They don't even. All right.
The Steelers. The Steelers.
Oh, the Steelers. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a surprise, but that's an accurate surprise. Like a broken clock.
They did this. They did the same thing that the Chiefs did. They invested a lot into their O line as well.
I think getting rid of DeCastro, that really sent some people reeling. And DeCastro was a fixture in that offensive line.
Yeah, he was.
And just getting rid of him with no explanation. And I know he's injured. I know he was going to be able to come back. And they already had their cap issues under control. They're going to be the richest team next year because everybody's going to be a free agent.
Right.
So I know a knock on them was getting rid of DeCastro and with no explanation. Like,
no, he retired. He retired.
He retired.
He's like permanently injured.
Wow. Oh wow! I just read something like the Castro release is still fixating fans.
Yeah, for a couple of days, people were like freaking out, and I was like, "Oh, can the Rams go get him?" And then he's like, "No, he's got something wrong with one of his legs. He's like done."
Oh, okay. You're a Rams fan?
Yeah, the Rams can have that.
Oh man! Wow. Okay. Okay. How you like Stafford, man?
I'm nervous. I'm real nervous, to be honest with you.
I enjoy that. You're gonna live and die with him.
We have our O line is just on a razor's edge, man. We're so close to just being an awful O line. We weren't very good last year, and we have Andrew with our best O lineman by a mile is 40. We're playing every single person on the O line and the interior O line out of position. We're moving our pretty good guard to center. We're moving our guards around. We're putting a right tackle at right guard, and it's a recipe for disaster. And the other part of so I'm going, okay, Stafford's going to be pressured a lot. And then on the other hand, I'm watching Stafford film, and I'm going, man, he throws a lot of jump balls up in the air. He throws a lot of opportunities for 50-50 balls. Rams don't have anyone who's capable of doing that regularly. We don't have a Kenny Galladay. We don't have a Calvin Johnson. We don't have a Golden Tate or a Marvin Jones who can go up and get them balls and bring them down. I'm nervous about it. I'm no joke. My fellow Rams fans are fully convinced that he's about to throw for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. It's ironic. People are always like, "Oh yeah, of course you're a Goff fan, you're a Rams guy, bro." I am the exception to the rule. Rams fans are all Goff haters, and they think Stafford's about to become Patrick Mahomes 2.0. But I'm nervous. I just don't see it, man. Is he going to totally change his game around to be a guy that throws guys open based on scheme rather than trying to fit into tight windows and contested catches and stuff? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, the fat man. Thank you for that. He's sarcastic joke about the Rams not having to play decent pass rushes.
All right. Next thing to talk about. So what like Detroit Lion player are you most excited to see in 2021? Is it one of the players you guys already mentioned, or is there just someone you're excited to see?
I guess it depends on for what reason. Excited just in general, or excited to see if they can turn it around? There's a lot of like storylines that are interesting.
Excited how they'll play, I guess, in general.
I'm excited for Tavai. I'm excited for Tavai. I think a 3-4 with a clear, defined role as that second linebacker. See, I know this is going to be unpopular opinion. In a 3-4, we have our two inside linebackers. One's responsible for, dropping back in zone. I think the best person to be able to do this was Danny Trevathan. Everywhere he's went in his 3-4, Denver and the Bears, it's worked because he can flow. And he can flow to the tackle. He can clean up the run, but he can play well in zone. Brandon Marshall comes to mind, linebacker type. Great linebacker. He can play in zone, drop in zone, play make. I think that Jelani Tavai, his weight loss, along with him being able to play fast and free, play in space, and him being able to kind of like come back reborn and reevaluate his game and get some help from the actual coaches that are actually beneficial. Having having the issue that is there of competition, having a guy like Alex Anzalone to either coach him up or compete with him, because Anzalone is a playmaker. Anzalone for the better part of his career, I know it's only been 4 years, has been a playmaker. He's been a guy who's blown up screens. He's been a guy who can drop back and pass, but he was in a 4-2 defense. He had more responsibility. But I think Jelani Tavai is going to really surprise some people, like truthfully, in his role as maybe a coverage linebacker or just a run, shoot the gap type of linebacker, flow in space, flow to the ball. Once I see more film on him this year, I'll see what role they have him in, if it's just flow to the ball and clean up the run game, or if it's penetrate the passer, rush the passer, which he was very good at last 2 seasons.
He was good at that in college too.
Yeah, absolutely. And in college, they used him the right way. They put him in a joker position and just made him rush from any angle possible. Like, it really bothers me. People want this dude off the team. Like,
yeah,
he was under Patricia. Stop.
It's weird. They're go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just always think people kind of forget. I mean, there's 2 things people forget about Tavai. Number 1, Jelani Tavai his statistics in college were insane. I mean, especially as a run stuffer. I think he nearly had 400 tackles, and he had injured games. He got injured in college, and he nearly had 400 tackles. That's insane.
Right.
My second point is he was good as rookie year. And he wasn't elite his rookie year, but he was good his rookie year. I mean, I've done a video on it. I mean, this guy had a good rookie year, so it's not like this guy just has only sucked his entire career. The only reason he just wasn't as good as sophomore year is because Patricia asked him to gain so much weight.
Right. And people do have a problem. I think I had an initial problem. I'm sorry, Rams House.
No, you're good.
I have to say this. When Jelani Tavai was picked, the pick they had to make was Ninkovich, who went to the Patriots. To me, that was a no-brainer. You're replacing the team with a 3-4. You're replacing the defense with a 3-4. If you get Ninkovich as your pass rusher, you have a clear defined pass rusher, and then you can get a nose tackle. It was obvious. I think it was obvious for so many people. And Ninkovich has 6 sacks a year for the Patriots. It really bothers me that they went with that. But he is salvageable. He is going to be a winner, and that's all I got to say.
So I'm gonna hit on 2 things. First, the Tavai thing. Tavai was one of my draft crushes on that draft. Rams fans desperately needed a middle linebacker, so I believe in Tavai. His college film is wonderful to watch. He's that dude. When Dan Campbell talks about a guy who's got a motor, who's dirty, who just has a nose for the ball, that is literally Jelani Tavai in essence. He's just this dude who just wants to hit people. He's just that guy. He has a great motor and never gives up. In college, the dude was just phenomenal. And his rookie year, he showed some stuff. I think he can do it at the pro level, especially now that he's not being asked to play at defensive tackle size. In college, he actually had 16 and a half sacks in those 4 years. So he can rush the passer. He can stop the run. He had 41 tackles for loss. He can stop the run. He can rush the passer. I guess the question mark is about whether he can play in coverage. I think they'll probably ask Jamie Collins to do more of that than him, but I think he'll do okay with some of that in zone and stuff like that. He actually was pretty good against the pass in his rookie season. The quarterbacks had a 78 quarterback rating when they targeted the person he was defending. That's not very good. He was at least passable against the pass in coverage. So I think he'll be fine. The second thing I want to hit on is One Pride 40 said Julian Okara. I wouldn't be surprised if Julian takes time away from Flowers. I don't think I do believe Julian's going to have a much larger role this year, but he doesn't need to take time away from Flowers. Naturally, edge rushers don't play very much. Even top tier edge rushers will basically stay between 65 and 85% of the snaps. In fact, I want to say last year Romeo played 67% of the snaps, and that might shock some of you guys to know that he's 67% of the snaps.
And
so he was
still was like
exactly
best pass rusher in the league.
If you look at Flowers in 2019 when he was last healthy with the team, he had 65% of the snaps. I think 62% of the snaps. I would expect Flowers and Romeo both to get 65% of the snaps, just as like a rounded number, which leaves 70% of the 200 percent, or let's just say they do nickel and dime some. So let's say that the two edge rushers are only on the field for 175% of the passes. Well, that's 130%. So that still leaves 45% of the edge snaps up for grabs, and I think Julian will absorb most of those.
Having a linebacker core or pass rushers as committee to me is paramount, because you want to keep guys fresh for the fourth quarter. You're gonna have Charles Davis, you're gonna have Julian Okora, who I think he was the more athletic brother. I know his brother was pretty good.
Quite a bit, actually. Quite a bit.
Yeah, he was the more athletic brother. He was supposed to be a late first round pick actually in that draft, but he had that broken fibula in 2019 2019. So he had no off season. He was coming back from an injury. He's primed for a great year. His brother was a 6th round pick who was just like, who was just showing up. Right. But with this guy, Julian's with his ability, just raw ability, if he gets the right coach, we're talking about a potential guy, a potential edge rusher that you can install in a NASCAR type of set where you have 3 defensive linemen, 4 defensive line pass rushers. He can create havoc. I think if he plays with the high motor that he did in college, 7 sacks.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, Dan, do you have another question or direction you'd like to head
in? Sure. The next one for me is, so how much better do you think the defense will be during Aaron Glenn? I've seen a lot of Lions fans debating this. Some people think it's going to be this giant turnaround, kind of like San Francisco had in 2019. Some people think it might be moderate, like me, who thinks we might jump to 19th or 20th or something like that. What do you guys think? How much improved do you think this defense will be?
If you get to 15th, for me, I think that's kind of normal. I don't want to be like anybody else who's overly optimistic. I believe in conservative optimism.
Are we talking about points or yards? Just for clarification.
Add that, because that's going to be.
I think it's just ranking.
I think, okay, so last year, Aaron Glenn's motto for the last 2 years with the Saints, something he preached was turnovers. Mm-hmm. That's what he preached. It just wanted, with Williams, he said that's who gets paid is turnovers. He would coach guys up for turnovers. If we do give up a lot of yards, that is. We have a very young secondary. I know people don't want to hear that. But if we give up a lot of yards, look for us to be more like the 2009 Saints, where we're plus 14 in turnovers. I know y'all looking crazy. I know it's not popular. I got it. But, he's worked with some cornerbacks. Jabari Greer. He had one elite season out of Marshawn down there in New Orleans. Yeah, one elite season out of that guy. I was about to say Lattimore, my mistake. He had some faux pas years, but I think if we're a team that gives up a lot of yards, we're going to get a lot of turnovers, and vice versa. If we're a team that suffocates teams, and if we're a team that doesn't allow any yards, we might not get any turnovers. So for me, I'm just going to go 15th. I'm going to say we're going to be better against the run than the pass. I will say that.
Okay.
What are your thoughts, Rams House?
I think so. An increase from 15th from 32nd to 15th is about 9 points a game. And I think that's definitely doable. I mean, 9 points a game is not exactly a lot. It's a touchdown and a field goal, and that's 10, so that's more. And so one of the places where this becomes more possible when you look at it through this lens is kind of the bend don't break mentality. Is the secondary going to blow anyone's minds in this year? Probably not. Okuda has to literally. He's going to spend all season washing the stink of Matt Patricia off in that defense.
Right.
Tracy Walker's reintegrate. Now, I will say one thing. Tracy reminds me of John Johnson. Very similar skill sets, and Aubrey Pleasant made John Johnson a top 3 safety. So I'm very optimistic about that.
And bang the desk for him to play, because I think they had at that time they had Webster, they had a secondary, and you had Webster, you had some guys that I researched that only had 2 interceptions when he first got there. Peace. Yeah.
No, and so I think there's a youth aspect to them now, but where this changes, right? That's where it's affected between the 20s, right? Because yards are given up between the 20s. Now, in the red zone, when the field shrinks, is when everything happens at a much faster pace. When running becomes more prevalent because you're dealing in a lot less space to throw, and I think that is where the Lions defense is going to shine. Playing in, I think they'll have a much more improved red zone defense. And I don't know that they'll increase from 32nd to 15th in yards given up per game, but I think they will in points once that front 7 is allowed to operate at its full capacity in the red zone.
Right. I would agree with that. I would concur. So if the secondary is a bend but don't break, like you say, I think the turnovers would be high for the defense. And if you're +6 or plus whatever, that's okay. If you're a suffocating defense, first and foremost, I want to say this. This team cannot have a suffocating defense. One reason is people can get yards on us in bunches. I don't believe that Okuda is a legitimate target. I didn't like him in the draft. I didn't like him to get picked by us. I didn't think he was a third legitimate pick. I doubt he comes out and just outperforms everybody. For me, a corner that takes away half the field is a legitimate corner. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So if we do give up a lot of yards, Awari ranked 17th, and he would give up. No, he ranked 7th in giving up 17 or plus more yards. You know, it's shocking to me. People think that Awari is this corner that is solid and good, because he's literally given up. And you have to average this. If it says 17 yards, he's given up 20 here, 40 here. He's given up some yards. He's not, to me, he's not a legitimate corner. My safest bet for corner is Quinn Dunbar. Quinn Dunbar is probably the best bet for me. He's played under Aubrey Pleasant. Aubrey Pleasant got his best years out of him. He's went up against number ones. He's always proven to be physical. He's always proven. And now his PFF grade is terrible. Obviously he was injured the last 2 years. Had some legal
Dunbar,
issues.
you mean?
Dunbar, yeah. His PFF grade is terrible. I mean, I was trying to do a video on him, and I can't even convince myself, But if he's the Quentin Dunbar of 2017 or 2018, and I hate to say that because I know Lions fans don't want to hear that, if he can return to form, I know no one wants to hear that. But I think Quentin Dunbar taking on the number ones, especially the bigger receivers in the division, Devontae Adams, Okuda should have never been lined up against Devontae Adams. I don't – never. Okay.
Well, you have a secondary as weak as the Lions did last year.
Right.
You need to double a guy like Devontae Adams and then let the rest of the guys do what they do. You just can't let that guy beat you one-on-one like that.
Right. And he's beating him. And you know what's funny is Okuda was getting beat on drag routes, mesh routes, the same concepts that the Packers are known for. So this is definitely in film study. So you knew it was coming. Those mesh routes, those trips rights, that's what they do. They're the pack. That's literally their whole offense.
By the way, real quick, Quentin Dunbar in 2019 played 11 games. He had a 87.6 PFF rating. And on the Pro Football Reference side of things, he allowed a passer rating of 61 on 55 targets. So I would say he was excellent in 2019. When he's been healthy, Quentin Dunbar has been a good corner.
Yeah, I seen I'm on this right now.
4.
Oh, I didn't like his that's the one. It was 20 okay, it was 2018. His 2018 was pretty bad, but his 2019 was pretty good. Okay, I got that flipped. Apologies.
Well, that's more recent though, so that's good for Lions fans, right?
Yeah, because they want to hear that.
Well, I mean, guys get injured.
And, he got injured.
He was injured last year.
His last year was not that good.
Can you all hear me real quick?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. I had to switch to my phone. My computer died. All right.
I nailed it. I said buffed up as EA, and then he said Ramsey's trash. So
yeah, that's how you know.
That's how you know. It's funny. So yeah, I'm really big on the Lions front seven. I think it's going to transform. As a Rams fan who's seen the defense transform from like bad to average to really, 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 really good. The thing that really hit me like a ton of bricks was how important stopping the run is. And I think that's where they put all their money in this year. They put all of their stock in stopping the run. Michael Brockers was brought in to stop the run. Trey Flowers was, you can't really get rid of him, but he is a good run stopper as well as a good pass rusher. And then Ali McNeil, run stopper. Everyone wants to talk about the fact that he's weirdly fast for a nose tackle, but he's a run stopper.
I'm sorry. I just got to address. I'm so sorry. I want to address the guy buffed up. I didn't say Ramsey was trash.
I did. He's talking to me.
Oh, okay. The Ramsey. Okay. He's talking to you?
Yeah, he's talking to me.
Okay. All right.
Right. Yeah. He always beefs with everything I say. So yeah.
You're a Rams fan, man.
Yeah. But and then Levi, I don't think Levi is going to be quite as polished as everyone thinks he is. I see some issues in his game. Like he has it, he just hasn't put it together. So unless the coaching staff helps him find the missing pieces, his film study shows me one thing that's something you can't teach. You can't teach a guy explosiveness, and you can't teach. There's a violence to his game that reminds me of Aaron Donald. The only comparison to Aaron Donald that I will make is that first contact by Levi on an O lineman. There's a jolt. You physically see a jolt. The O lineman is shaken. And where Aaron Donald thrives there is when that jolt happens, he knows he has them slightly off balance, and he will use that power to move them fully off balance and create an advantageous situation. Levi hasn't learned he gets the jolt, and then he kind of just recoups himself. He hasn't learned to get that jolted movement and then use it immediately. Yeah. And when he learns that, because he needs to be better at hand fighting and he needs more pass rush moves, like Donald has some moves he uses regularly that are always effective in that moment. Yeah,
I think when it comes to Levi is interesting to me because I seen him play a zero technique, and he doesn't have the build for a zero technique. So the Washington defense had him do something that took him out of position. I think he's a true 3 technique. The thing about Levi that concerns me the most, though, is probably that move repository. He doesn't have it. I see the same kind of bull rush. I see the same swing move. I see the same things on film from Levi. So that concerns me. But if we're trying to get exotic on stunts or blitzes that Dom Capers can put in from his time from either Pittsburgh or his time at either Green Bay, I see him really benefiting from that. I think a lot of times we're going to have 3 down linemen and we're going to rush 4. I think that's going to be the case, and maybe naturally he can play his natural position of a 3 technique. But I see what you're saying. You're completely accurate. Is this like, okay, he shocked himself with how strong he is.
Yeah, but the thing is what he does you can't teach somebody to have that kind of power and that kind of burst.
And that follow through. The
follow through is what he's missing. Between hand fighting and moves, he's missing that follow through. Now, I mean, yeah, that's something you coach about. The stuff he's missing can be coached. The stuff that he has can't be. So I'm happy for his future. Like, I think it's coming, but I don't know if he'll have it in year 1. Now, that doesn't mean he's gonna be bad. I just think, kind of like in college, his good plays are not going to come as often as we'd like. His like explosive, blowing up the whole plays aren't going to come as often as we'd like.
Right.
Yeah. That's. Go ahead.
Okay. I think the big thing is, so I did a little bit of film review. Of course, I didn't do the best I think I could have done with Levi. But the thing that that really popped off to me about that Levi is, in my opinion, he would put effort, but it wouldn't always go well. Like, he had a spin move that happened that a runner had. I don't remember what the team was at, but he did the spin move, which would have been the correct move, but he didn't do it well enough that it was able to get him a tackle, and then the running back ended up getting like a 40-yard gain. He's very raw, and I don't think people really completely acknowledge that until you watch the film. They just look at his highlights where you see him chasing down the running back on a screen. I don't think Levi is guaranteed a job. This is Dan Campbell. Like, he's not just going to hand the job to a second-round draft pick. I legitimately think Deshaun Hand could potentially fight for that 3-tech spot. But I don't know.
I've actually said the same thing. I think Hand's an underrated player just because he's dealt with injuries. He's super talented, though. And if Levi doesn't get up to snuff immediately, I could see him. I mean, if he's not starting, he's going to be rotating in on that 3-tech and the 5-tech probably.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, I just concur fully. Hand is interesting because he's only dealt with injuries, but when he's been there, I know he had 3 sacks in 2018 and kind of disappeared since. But him at the 3 technique, I like people at their normal positions. I think when you have your defensive line, people at their core positions, that makes it easier for your linebackers. Again, we had Ashawn Robinson. He's a classic. I know he's probably not your favorite guy, Rams House. I understand that. But
I don't think he's going to retain the starting job, to be honest with you. Greg Robinson or Greg Gaines is going to take it from him.
Right. I think when you have your defensive linemen playing at their natural positions, that 3 technique, and I think he could play a little 0 technique and play over the nose, over the center. I think he can do that. He's done that in stunts and blitzes. When we have that ability to just play natural and fast in our linebackers, whether it's Trey Flowers, whether it's Julian Okwara or Romeo Okwara, our linebackers can be free to float to the ball. I just need pressure out of them. I think Ozarike gives us the best benefit to pressure from the defensive line standpoint. I've seen Panisi. He can hold up some blocks. I've seen Brockers. I'm more impressed with Brockers than I would like to be because he's 30 years old. I'm not stupid. I know 30 years old, you start to dwindle. He's the longest tenured Ram. He's had some successful seasons, but he did play next to, especially last year with Staley's system, he played next to Aaron Donald. And if you play next to Aaron Donald, you need to be going off. And 5 sacks is okay, but you need to be elite numbers if you're playing next to the best player in the league.
To be honest, it actually worked in reverse. And Aaron Donald says this pretty regularly himself. Brocker's sturdiness against the run is what allowed Aaron to rush the passer so frequently. Now, I do agree he should have gotten more sacks overall because they walk into you against Aaron Donald sometimes.
Right.
But really, he freed Aaron Donald up where Aaron was like, you know what? It might be a run play, but I'm going to rush the passer anyways because just in case. That happened a lot because he knew Brockers was so solid, and he talked about that quite a bit the last couple of years when Brockers was maybe going to go to a different team. He was like, man, this is the guy that lets me do what I do.
Yeah. I can attest to that. That I've seen Brockers take on some double teams that he's probably shouldn't have. And for me, it reminds me of Egerton Hartwell. I don't know if you know who Egerton Hartwell is. Have you ever heard of Egerton Hartwell?
No.
Okay, so long, long time ago, there was a guy. There was a guy who played for the 2002, 2001 Ravens. His name was Egerton Hartwell. Egerton Hartwell signed in the 2004. He signed a $26 million deal, right? And his thing was, well, I benefited Ray Lewis. I freed him up. I cleaned up all the tackles, this and the third, so he can play coverage. He signs that deal with Atlanta, and he disappears.
Yeah.
He completely disappears. At that time, he was making $8 million a year. He was the guy, 6'2" guy. Completely disappears. That's what I don't want. I don't want a person who was basically the cleanup man for a superstar and completely just disappears from the world when we have him and we restructured his contract. We made a commitment to him, and now we have to deal with this problem. I think he's going to be a great three technique, great 5 technique. He's going to get our defensive line right. He's going to keep Trey Flowers from being on these big left tackles, 6'7" left tackles. I don't think he has the skill to do that, to be on these left tackles, unless he's,
I think he'll play on the other end. I think he'll be the 5.
You think so?
Yeah. That's where he played his entire time at the Rams.
So he played on the right tackle.
He played right tackle, 5 tech usually is what he played for our scheme.
Why have I seen him on the other side of that?
Very, very rarely him and Donald will switch when Donald has a really, really good matchup on the right side.
Okay.
It's usually like a few plays a game. It's nothing crazy, but he's made some plays on the left side. So if you've seen highlights of him, that's probably why.
Yeah. I understand what you mean. So I would probably keep him at whatever he's comfortable with, because
he's 3 or 5. 3 or 5 on the right side. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really just about managing your expectations. He's not paid like a top defensive line pass rusher. He's paid like a guy who's okay rushing the pass and a guy who's really stout against the run.
I think his leadership quality is a little better.
100%.
And then understanding, he could talk to this defensive coordinator. What Staley did last year was phenomenal, where he had that defensive line more of stop the gap or flow to the gap instead of flow to the ball. He cleaned it up with the linebackers. If he can talk to Aaron Glenn like, this is how we did it at the Rams. This is exactly what we did in LA. And our 3-4 was way more effective than anybody's. And
you guys think that your linebacking core is bad? It's nothing compared to the Rams.
Should have signed Littleton, man.
I would trade both of my starting linebackers for either one of Tavai or Collins.
Wow.
We got Troy Reeder and Kenny Young. We got nothing on the linebacking core.
I actually like Young. Hold on, man. I like Young.
Yeah, Young's film was nice until he got to the NFL and didn't do nothing. You know what's funny about Young at the NFL level is he's just lost, man. Because he's basically your like classic home run hitter who strikes out 400 times a year, but he gets a lot of dingers. Like Young will get to he'll get a sack, he'll get an interception, and he'll blow some running backs up behind the line. But then like he's totally useless the other 20 plays that he's in the game. Like he gets like 2 crazy good plays a game, and then he's just a massive liability the rest of the game.
So how do you like Hollins? You think
Hollins is much better? I think he's actually going to push for starting time.
I love Hollins. I love Hollins to get cut this year, and I would love. I love Hollins. Man, what?
and he's versatile. Hollins can play the edge and the inside. He's not getting cut. He's a legit useful piece to the defense.
You know what? Staley loved that guy, man. He loved that guy, and I think that he gets cut. And if he gets waived, we got a chance at it. If he gets cut and becomes a free agent, whatever. If he gets waived, he can come here. But if I think he's going to go back to LA, or he's going to stay in LA and be a Charger, because Staley had that guy working and he flows to the ball. He's really a sack master. 4 sacks, 4 sacks this past year and the 4 sacks before. I think he can be an 8-sack guy for real, and given the opportunity. And I think Hollins is just he's a talent that there's a defensive end for San Fran that every time he's in, he gets a sack and then they pull him right out. I think that's the same situation. Hollins gets in there, he does a good job. They say, okay, back to our starter that we're paying X amount of dollars to, or that we believe in. I love Hollins, man.
Hollins is quality. We were excited about getting him, and then he played pretty solid all year long for us. But man, I'd take either of you guys. Troy Reader, Kenny Young, like I said, is just hit or miss. And then we have a guy I was always really excited about that never ended up panning out for us. Drawing a blank on his name. What is his name? That's how much he's not panned out. I don't remember his name. It'll come to me. But yeah, we can move on to a different topic. Oh, Micah Kaiser from Georgia. I thought he was going to be really good, and he hasn't done nothing.
Oh yeah, he hasn't shown up.
Not at all.
I've been keeping up with I've been watching other teams consistently. I've been keeping up with the waiver wire right now. For me, and then y'all gonna call me a bum, but I watch other teams just to see what we can pick up. I know surprise cuts are a thing in the league, and I'm really thinking Jalen Smith from Dallas. If I got that
would be crazy if he gets cut, man.
He's lost. He's done the Tavai thing.
He's a stud though.
Yeah, they don't trust his knees. They don't trust the guy's knees. Man.
I think they'll cut Leighton Vander Esch before they cut him, and I'll take either of those guys on either of these teams. Both of them are studs if healthy.
I think Vander Esch is off that team though. I thought I read something where Vander Esch was somewhere else.
Gone?
Getting trade interest, but I don't think he's gone.
Okay.
Boise State.
Vander Esch got hurt the last 2 seasons. But Vander Esch is an absolute beast.
I was watching a live. I apologize. One Pride. I apologize. Analytics. But I was watching a live stream from his name is Law Nation, and it's Cowboys. I watch every other team, man. It just goes beyond the same little topics that Detroit has. And they were talking about him. Those fans are talking about him. So I hope those knees hold up. He's like the Greg Oden of the NFL. Literally, this guy has lost weight, changed his diet, done everything I like to see. Because I actually played, I played football, and then I tried out collegiately. Didn't work out for me collegiately. And then I was promised a collegiate spot, and then they had a coaching change. I was promised a collegiate spot by Ron English. He was a defense coordinator for Michigan. He went to Eastern, and he was a head coach at Eastern. So I transferred there because, the spot's up for grabs. He had got fired the second season he was there, third season he was there, because he got there in I'd say 2009, 2010. He got fired, and we had a guy, Coach Creighton, who came over from Old Dominion, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I got some experience with some football, okay? Mm-hmm. And changing the diet to me is the ultimate commitment of any football player. It's hard to do, especially in life, to change your diet, to go to vegan, this, and the third, or just go to a plant-based diet in general, or a pescatarian diet. Hard. He's done that. 2, he had a very good rehab. Three, he's Jalen Smith. Come on. It's man, I would love to have him, man.
That would be bonkers. Somebody said, why is nobody signing Quan Alexander? Because Quan Alexander is a professional tackle misser. He's literally led the league in missed tackles for
You don't like Quan Alexander?
I mean, if you like a guy to miss tackles, he's good at it.
Quan Alexander can make plays, man.
But he also misses tackles so often.
So does Give me a consistent player than an explosive player. Xavier Howard is busy. Okay, Xavier Howard versus Jalen Ramsey is a perfect example of explosive versus consistent. Jalen Ramsey is this giant shutdown player and all of that. But if you look at his advanced stats, his completion percentage, his touchdowns allowed, yards per game, missed tackles, Ramsey's better at all of those things. But Xavier Howard has all those picks, so a lot of people focus on Xavier Howard. And
I'm going to answer. Okay. So, yeah, a lot of people focus. Xavier Howard had 10 picks, though.
Yeah, but he also let up a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns.
I mean,
boom or bust. Yeah,
boom or bust for sure.
More boom than bust, 100%.
Definitely like a sleigh.
But he also didn't. He didn't Ramsey. Literally shadowed number ones all season long, every game. It was unreal.
So I'm gonna answer that question. Why is nobody signing Quan Alexander? I believe Quan Alexander is still hurt to some degree. His injury last year was towards the end of the season. His injury probably is a lingering one. I follow his Twitter. He's always working out or rehabbing. I love Quan Alexander. I love the energy, the legendary. I love the whole hype thing. He does miss tackles. Yeah, he does. But I see he's the only linebacker for last, that reminds me of a Fred Warner because he can flow to the ball. I love the linebackers that can flow through traffic and get the running back to get the tackle, get the sack. And he's one of those linebackers that can do that. He's had exceptional seasons. He had missed seasons. 2017 was dealing with injury. 2018 placed on injured reserve. 2019 he got traded, signed a big contract with the Niners. Injured again. He's a guy that you root for. He's definitely going to be a person that you root for, that you want. He was placed on injured reserve December 28th. I think what's going to happen to him is someone's going to get hurt. Ironically, someone's going to get hurt on one of these teams, whether it's the Lions, whoever. Knock on wood, right? Going to get hurt on one of these teams, and he's going to come in. He's going to fill in nicely. He's going to earn a good contract because he deserves to be in the league now. Now his stats, he's not a sack master by any means. He's played for 3 different teams, but I think people still remember his 2016, which was phenomenal. His 2017, which was phenomenal. But the last 3 years have not been, amazing at all. I think his 2019 had 34 tackles, and that's not going to cut it when they literally played a 4-3, and then they had that 4-2-5, and he was just exposed constantly. So I'm a big fan of Quan Alexander.
I do agree he has nice flow. I've seen a lot of plays where he flowed through his gap, got to the running back, went for an arm tackle, got busted through, and the guy went for a 50-yard run. I had to throw that in there.
The shade.
I don't dislike him. I like consistency and I like fundamentals. And his tackling style, it drives me nuts.
Okay.
All right.
Where he's throwing his body in.
Yeah, and he misses. He's just not big enough for that. That's why he misses tackles. He's 227. He's not the guy who's going to be throwing his body around, and he's not going to knock Alvin Kamara off balance. He's not going to knock a lot of running backs and receivers off balance. He's not big enough for that. I wish he would just rap. If he rapped, he'd be a freaking great linebacker. Hopefully, he's working on that right now.
Yeah. Well, and before we move on to the next question, I do want to see one thing that I've been wanting to address for a bit. One Private 40 says he's going to be joining a semi-pro league team next year.
Nice.
Just want you, man.
That's awesome.
Congrats to the guy. It's kind of crazy to have a guy like that.
Semi-pro in what? In football?
I think.
I mean, I assume, but we could be talking about like semi-pro Pokemon cards. I don't know.
Very true. Very true. Whatever it would be. I mean, I think he also. I don't know. I think he said he was in football.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Just stay in shape, man. Change your diet, man. It really it changes things. I think when I first joined the Army, I changed my diet, and I took out anything fried, and I probably lost 30 or 40 pounds in basic training along with AIT. And then my first deployment is just, I ate healthy. I had to eat healthy. So and it being in that heat, you don't want to do nothing, but you work out as a stress reliever, and it just changes you. So when I'm home station, when I'm stateside, man, and I'm not, when I'm like doing my normal office job, Army wise, man, I'm eating all these fatty foods. I feel so like sluggish and things. But when I'm deployed or when I'm in full kit or we're in the field or whatever, I'm a grass eater, man. Okay, herbivore all the way, man. So congrats to you, One Pride 40.
Yeah. And also, thanks for, I guess, serving your country. What do you serve? Are you like a Marine, Army?
Oh, I'm in the Army. I'm a normal person. I'm a person with a brain. I'm in the Army. Now, if I was a smart person, I'd join the Air Force. But I'm just
that's true.
I'm just a normal person in the Army.
Air Force, the vacation of the military.
Yeah, it is.
I worked right next to an an Air Force base, a big one, for a long time, and even the people in the Air Force know that. They're like, "Yeah, I joined the Air Force because I didn't want to do anything." Like,
right. I see a lot of ex-Army guys go Air Force, and
yeah,
probably after this contract, I'll just go back active duty, reserve.
Marines.
Boring. No, fuck no. I'm in the Army, bro.
No. I'm saying Marines. Marines join the Air Force. Yeah. They join the Marines. They go nuts for a while, and then like, all right, vacation time. I went crazy.
I apologize for the cursing. But yeah, Marine. I see a lot of Marines join the Air Force. You know, they get smart after a while. I guess they learn their ABCs.
Yeah. The old Marine Army rivalry there.
Oh, 1 Pride 40 says it's football. So yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about, out of the 2020 Detroit Lions draft, who do you think is going to have the most improved season and have the most instant impact, not named DeAndre Swift?
Repeat that again. I missed it.
Okay, so out of the 2021 NFL draft, out of the 2020 draft, out of the second-year players, I guess, out of our rookies, not named DeAndre Swift, who will have the biggest impact? Is it going to be Okudah, Okwara, Jackson, some other player like Cephas maybe? Who's your guy?
Let's see. I'll let you take this one first, Avery.
Okay. It's got to be Okudah because I think he can play. Him not expected to shut down. They really expected this man to be Revis. I don't know how. I don't know what warranted that. Even though he was like the top corner in man coverage, that was a misnomer to me. He's in the Big Ten. They're playing freaking Michigan. Come on. The Big Ten is a running league. If he wins 6 one-on-one matchups and has 4 picks, he's literally the best corner to me. If he really wanted to be tested, he would be down there in the SEC. I think he's going to be, not fast forward to now, I think he's going to be probably, if not the best, he's probably going to be up there because everything's going to be clicking to him. He's going to learn a new system, but that system's going to be it's going to be simpler for him. I mean, he was literally rated the last corner in the league. So there's nothing, that's the best part about being worse or the last. You can just go up from there.
So let me handle the Okudah thing real quick, just to give people some hopium on that. From reports, he had a hamstring injury most of the year. He also got no direction from the defensive staff on what to do at his position. And he got virtually no safety help all season long. Those are probably 3 of the most important things to a corner.
No offseason either.
You know what?
He had no offseason.
No pass rush. I mean, everything that could go wrong for a corner went wrong for Jeff Okudah last year. So absolutely, I expect him to improve. I don't think he's the real Revis. I don't think that's his game. I don't think it needs to be his game for him to be effective. I think that kind of needed to be his game for him to be a number 3 overall pick. But I think Okudah could still be a Pro Bowler without being Darrelle Revis. Now, I'm going to have fun. First of all, I watched a video on DeAndre Swift that made me a little worried. It wasn't a video bashing him, but it was just pointing out some of his flaws. And that was oh, man, it's got me a little concerned that he's going to lose more playing time than we anticipated to Jamal Williams. I actually thought at first it was going to be like a 65-35 split. I'm thinking now it might be like a 55 to 60, 35-40 split. Williams is a stud in a lot of ways, and Swift needs some work, and hopefully Staley can give him that. But I'm going to go into an interesting direction. Now, look, we have 3 other legitimate options, right? we did Okudah and Swift. They're gone, right? So I have Julian Okwara, Jonah Jackson, and Quinton Cephas. Now, Cephas could be a guy because I've already stated I think he's going to be the third starter over Perriman. I think St. Brown's going to be the number 2. And then we talked about Julian Okora is probably going to get – I'd say Okora gets 40 to 50% of the snaps this year at edge, which he could do some damage in that time. But I think the guy that makes most sense logically to me is Jonah Jackson. And I'll tell you one reason why. I did have a bit of a crush on Jonah Jackson in the draft, so I loved his college film. But, bro, how do you not be solid when you're playing between Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker? How do you – and look, I understand year 1, you're a late-round pick, you need some refinement, but by year 2, playing between 2 Pro Bowl quality guys, I expect you to be above average at the very least. So I'll say Jonah Jackson for that reason.
All right. I'm going to go with – it's a big battle between for me and O'Gorn and Cephas. But I think I'm going to go with Cephas because we're going to be the main starter. I agree with you. I think Cephas will be the number 3. And Quintus Cephas was someone I was super high in the draft. I feel like if he didn't have the little off the field allegation that was false, he would have been a third rounder. I mean, the guy has some really good moves. I mean, he showed something. Rounder. Yeah, honestly, probably. Yeah, I'm just playing it and say, but the guy was just fantastic. His college film was fantastic. He played with terrible quarterbacks, and he had a really good final year. The guy had the best passer rating, and when he was for his senior year, out of any returning FBS receivers that junior year, when he was going into the offseason. I'll show you guys the stats later. But he was just fantastic. He was number 1 in contested catch percentage. That includes Justin Jefferson, every receiver drafted before him. That guy was a stud in college. And when he got actual playing time last year, he actually made some good plays. He had 17.5 yards per catch last year. I'm really excited to see what Cephas does next
year. Yeah, I think they're all. Is that not one of the more exciting parts about the Lions?
I think
that they have options,
right? And it's not clear cut and defined. Last year we had the 5th most drops in the league, if not the 1st, and we had probably the most stacked receiving core possible with Jones and Galladay having like 1,000-yard seasons out of Galladay, and Jones was always around 900, if not 1,000. He was always floating around from 700 plus. So now we have this kind of like question at receiver. I think Cephas showed me a lot that first game against the Bears, man. He showed me a lot, to really add to your point. He was just – I think he had 14 targets that game, 7 catches. Stafford was going to him in the slot a lot, and he liked him. So his sure-handedness, I like his quickness. I don't like his speed, but he's shown that he can beat people deep. He did that in the Bears game that we won. He did that in the Bears game. So I'm really excited to see him. That's another person. I gotta piggyback on that.
All right. I guess for the next question, how good do you guys think Penei Sewell will be his rookie year after moving from left tackle to right tackle? And how, I guess, you can't predict stats since the preseason doesn't even happen, but how good do you think he'll be in the bad to perfect range?
In his rookie season, man, so it's tough because a lot of this depends on how well acclimated Big V gets to right guard, because that'll determine how much extra slack Penei has to pick up at right tackle. But I do think that Big V will play at an adequate rate there at right guard. So I'm gonna go just above average. What is that? Good?
That's good. Yeah, I can get that good.
I think ultimately, I think he's incredibly talented, but I think I wouldn't expect even a high draft pick like him to be great in his rookie season, and certainly not switching from left to right side.
Mm-hmm. Well, and my biggest thing is guys like Jedrick Wills. Like I did a video on Sewell. I think it's honestly one of my better ones. It's about why you should not be afraid of Sewell moving to right tackle. There's a bunch of some of the best tackles in football have moved from like left to right or right to left. Orlando Brown's an example of it. I mean, there's a bunch of players that have done it. It's not something I don't think to be too scared of. And not to mention, our line coach is he's done a really good job. Taylor Decker, a lot of people. I don't know if you were there for this era Rams house, but people used to really dog on Taylor Decker. Like that man got a lot of hate. Like I remember back then that people wanted Crosby to go and replace him until like mid 2019. But Fraley's the guy who gets credit for that in my opinion because Fraley came in 2019 and 2020 explosion.
Right.
And same thing for Ragnow. Ragnow actually gave up, according to PFF, gave up the most pressures out of any interior rookie lineman, and then boom, Fraley comes in 2019 again. Ragnow is now the best center according to NFL executives and coaches.
Ragnow,
that man does a great job.
It's all about coaching at the skill position, especially at lineman position. You can go from worst to first really quick. It's just about the people around you. Like Fraley is probably the best example. Like there's people I know that wanted to give up on our left tackle. I myself wanted to give up. I didn't think he was elite at all. Thought he was a better right tackle. And we have the coaching. We just have the coaching. You see it right there.
Mm-hmm. All right. For my next question, who do you think?
I didn't mean to cut you off, man. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good. Okay, so I guess how good do you guys think Jared Goff has to be in order to do these things? One, how good do you think he has to be in order to get the fan base to get behind him? He's pretty hated right now. Most see him as a bridge quarterback. And then two, for the Lions to think they should move forward with him for the future.
Oh, I love this. I know Rams fans love this. You want to go first, Rams?
No, I'll let you go first.
Okay. All right. Turn on the fan. I'm getting hot, man. I love this. So my biggest thing with Goff is the production. This is a long-winded question. So the production is gonna win fans over, kind of. We seen in 2005 Kyle Orton have 1,800 yards. and lead them to an 11-5 season. We've seen that. We've seen Aaron Rodgers have 4,000. Look, people just want to win games at the end. We want turnovers to go less than 12 because I think that's what people like. When I look at Stafford, he's a 12 to 15 interception guy to me. That's if he can have 6 interceptions and only 6. Or less than 10 to keep it in the single digits, and have more ability in the red zone. People are gonna win. He's gonna flourish here. For people to enjoy who Goff is and love Goff and keep him out of Stafford's shadow, I think that he's gonna have to endear himself to the city. I think he endeared himself in LA playing against Seattle, hurt or with the thumb issue. I think he was available that whole game, and they had to bring him in because they just, they wanted to win. They had the first best defense, but they were lagging behind. People fell in love with Stafford from the Cleveland Browns game. That's what they remember. Even now, you got clips in the Cleveland Browns game where he separated his shoulder, came out, dislocated it again after throwing a touchdown. I think that wasn't Calvin Johnson. It was someone else. Joe Johnson. No, it doesn't matter what Johnson it was. He threw that touchdown to either Pettigrew or Johnson. He came out and he separated his shoulder again. And, obviously Stafford's going to be loved here. I hate Stafford to death, but he's going to be loved here. Goff just has to win games. That's what people will remember because Stafford wasn't a winner. He doesn't need to score. He had 4,000 yards. He doesn't need to be uber elite because we've had that with Stafford, where we had an elite Stafford or elite version of him, and it didn't go anywhere. It probably went to a first-round playoff against a team that was overpowered in the Saints, and we got exposed. And he threw 2-3 picks in that game. So, for me, he just has to win. And that's what's going to lead people to him. He doesn't have to get hurt, play tough, and show grit. None of that crap matters. Detroit Lions fans want to see him win, especially in the red zone and on third down. That's it.
Well, I got good news for you. Jared Goff wins in the red zone.
Okay.
Can I share my screen? Is that a thing I can do? Oh, yeah, I can. Hold on a second.
Okay, you can.
I'm going to show you a little bit of info. This is going to be horribly convoluted. I do a lot of stat gathering and a lot of stat putting together. So don't pay attention to, I will tell you, I'll show you what to pay attention to. Not all of this matters, but let me see if I can share my screen. Okay.
I'll try to share it onto my.
Is that working?
It's not showing up for me. It's showing up for you guys. I'm on the phone right now because my
I think you have to like turn it on. So.
Okay. Here, I'll go on my laptop real quick and I will share.
Okay, so Avery, you're really gonna like this. All right. When I got into some debates early on, yeah, because I'm sharing it, you just have to like select to show it, I think. But okay, I'll answer the question first. I think I agree with you. Winning is something Jared has to do, and at the potential of upsetting some, Lions fans, I think specifically he has to win against winning teams. If I assume all of you know that Matt Stafford didn't beat winning teams, right? I assume you all know that's a fact. Like he had I think less than 10 in his entire career with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, he's got 2 Super Bowl contenders in his division now,
so beating winning teams is something Jared has a pretty good history of, and he can do. He doesn't need to put a Superman cape on. He doesn't need to go bonkers. He needs to win games, but more importantly, I think there's just an aspect of him playing smart and letting the game come to him. And by the way, that's exactly what Anthony Lynn did for Justin Herbert. And that's exactly what they do for Mahomes. That's what they do for Tom Brady. Any quarterback that's asked to do too much starts to panic and have bad games. That was the difference between Patrick Mahomes last year and Patrick Mahomes in 2019, by the way. Patrick Mahomes had a down year for himself compared to the year before because his O-line was worse and he was asked to do too much. I know he's Patrick Mahomes, but he led the league in dropped interceptions. There's a lot of things about Patrick Mahomes that went down. So it's not. There you go. Okay, so let me zoom in. You had it up, analytics in. Now it's off.
No.
Okay, oh wow. I'm gonna zoom. I have a lot of crap on here. Just focus on the red zone stats. This is their career red zone stats right here.
Oh yeah, we know Stafford's bad. Listen, let me see. 60%. Stafford's not that bad.
No, that's Jared's. Stafford's 51.
51. No, I'm seeing that he's not too far off.
Oh yeah, right. But look at the touchdown to interception ratio.
5. That's all.
79 touchdowns for Goff to 57 for Stafford, and then 3 interceptions to 5. So no, there's not a lot of turnovers in the red zone as it is, but 79-3 is top 3 since Jared Goff entered the NFL, and that includes his 2 quote unquote down years, the last 2 years, where Jared was still balling in the red zone. So we talk about you want a guy who could put the ball in the end zone and while in the red zone. Jared Goff is that guy. The only 2 people better than him in the red zone, as far as QBs are, is Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. That's it.
Wow. I like that. I see where you're going to be on Luke D's channel.
So that is one aspect of his game. I'm going to show you this too. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this is actually pretty cool. Let me zoom out a little bit. I talked about this earlier, but this is quarterbacks pre 26 years old and post 26. So basically 26 being the cutoff. This is the QB ratings over here. So this is Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, all pocket quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, Derek Carr, Smith, Andrew Luck, right? All pocket quarterbacks. Their quarterback rating averaged 84.9 when they were younger than 26 years old. And then older than 26, it averaged at 97.6. That was a 12.6 QB rating improvement based on age. And the only people affected like this are pocket quarterbacks. Guys who are heavy on their feet don't have the same issues because they don't have to think about pressure in the same way. Because when pressure hits, rather than thinking about where to throw the ball, they just run. It's a totally different game for them. So this is not – Goff struggles. In fact, if you look at the quarterback rating, 91.5, Goff has the best quarterback rating of any pocket passer under the age of 26. These are the facts. Now, what Goff does 26 and over, that's beyond me. It's beyond anyone. Nobody knows what he's going to do, but there's precedent that pocket QBs have a massive growth in their game from age 26 and beyond.
Right.
And in fact, you want to let's see your boy Stafford. Stafford was pretty hot garbage up until 26 years old, and then look, he started to really shine right after that. His 26-year season, 85.7 QB rating. And then his 27-year-old season, 97. That's a 12 jump from 1 year to the next. And then 93, 99, 80, basically 90, 106, 96. Literally every year he had was pretty much better than the ones before he had before that age. It's literally the way that it goes. And then, the pocket QB turnover comparison.
Now, how many of those QBs had to learn a new system within that time span? Like the QB can make a jump, but is that a jump within the same system, or is that a jump within a new system? You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah. Some of them are. It's both. Like Drew Brees, I believe, basically hit the Saints around that age. It's kind of similar to Goff hitting a new team. So he was a Charger, and then hit the Saints with Sean Payton. Peyton Manning, I think, was with the same guy. Tom Brady, I think, hit a new guy. I think he hit Josh McDaniels around that age. So, yeah, some of them, it's a new system. Some of them, it's age-based because some of them had, like Ben Roethlisberger, had the same offensive coordinator the whole time. But you see the turnovers here. Now, people talk about Goff being a turnover machine. He had 75 turnovers in his first 76 games started. 76 turnovers in his first 75 games. Peyton Manning had 102. Drew Brees had 77. Rivers had 73. And Stafford had 90. So when we talk about Jared Goff being this turnover machine, he's less than a lot of other pocket quarterbacks were early in their career. It is a problem.
Mobby does that a lot. He does that a lot. I think that with the data you presented, I think Goff is, like, in the last 3 years or 4 years, he's not even top 10 for turning the ball over. But the last 2 years, he's not.
Right.
So exactly. If you look at last 2 years, you're going to get your answer. If you look at the last 4 years, you're not going to get your answer.
And for the answers to what happened between the 2 good years, the 2 bad years, me and Lucia put out a video about it next week. We're going to touch that exact topic. So,
yeah, I think the Lions can win. I'm looking at a lot of teams right now. My next video is going to be about what the Lions can do this season. And history says that the Lions can go to the playoffs. History says that the Lions can win a Super Bowl. History says that we've had 14 teams for the past 15 years, 14 teams that went from worst to first. Worst in their division or worst in the league to best in the league. And then another 7 of those teams have had 5 and 11 seasons. So they've had less wins. They've had more to work with. They've been in year 2 or year 1 of a rebuild. So that's my next video, because I seen Joy Bell talk about this on his podcast or Woodward Sports. He was it just bothered. What's that noise in the background? What is that?
It was his phone and his computer were going off at the same time. We were hearing ourselves talking. He's got it fixed now.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, there's this idea that the Lions can't go far. Obviously, I said 6 or 7 wins. 7 wins, I'll be happy. 7 wins, the playoffs, I'll be very happy. But history shows like the 2008 Miami Dolphins. I know that's that's easy to point out. Blah blah blah. They go 1-15 the year before. They only get 1-15 because Brandon Hartline catches that pass and has a yak to go all the way to the end zone. They won the division the next year and went 11-5. Lost in the divisional round. Again, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now they started 7-9 in 2016. They was a 7-9 team, but then they won a Super Bowl. They were last in their division. They couldn't beat nobody in their division. The 2005 Bears, I mentioned them earlier. The 2001 Rams, the 2003 Dallas Cowboys. They were 3-13 one year, and then next thing you know, they were 10-6 the next year. So, the Lions can go as far as they want to go as long as the coach can get everything out of them, and I think that's going to be crucial, especially if Green Bay is not at top tier what they're going to be. You know what you're going to get from. I think you know what you're going to get from the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears are going to be a run-heavy team. They just need Justin Fields to make some plays. They don't need him to be God. They just need him to, make the right plays, manage the game, let the game come to him, and play excellent defense with Roquan Smith, Eddie Jackson, and, their leaders up front. That's all they need. I think that they're the only ones to beat. Minnesota is going to take a step back because I don't think Kirk Cousins is the guy. I think he's going to get pressure from my favorite quarterback that was drafted. I think he was amazing. He was drafted out of I forget what his name was.
Kellen Mond.
Kellen Mond was my favorite quarterback this year because he had every situation you could possibly go through as a quarterback. Lead the team to victory, come all the way back, have a game-ending drive. I've seen him in every aspect of the game, and I think when I watched the Senior Bowl, I wanted to see more Jones than anybody. I just wanted to see what Jones was about. Mac Jones, to me, I thought was going to be, okay, Mac Jones might be our guy in the second round. I just wanted to see what he was about. But Kellen Mond stole the show for me. I was just like the mobility, the pass first. So I think Minnesota's going to have an upheaval there. They might be at 8-18 because they're gonna completely. Kirk Cousins is gonna come out and be a duck for like 4 weeks, and then they're gonna go with Kellen Mond. So Chicago's the team to beat. Green Bay, I'm never sold on Kevin Love. Never was. I don't think he's the guy. Not Kevin Love. My bad. I think his name is Jordan Love. He's not the guy. He's never been the guy. Even his stats at Utah didn't impress me. I remember the Lions were coaching that game. And Patricia seemed enamored with this dude. So I think the Packers just drafted Jordan Love just to get at Patricia a little bit because the Lions were so enamored. I seen him wrap his arm around him. I seen him talking to him on the sidelines, showing more like favor towards him than the other players. And I was like, Matt Patricia is going to try to draft Jordan Love. Oh boy. And next thing you know, he got drafted 26 overall, and man, the world went into upheaval, man. So I think Jared Goff is the most decorated quarterback in NFC North right now, and he's the most decorated. Tell me what Kirk Cousins has won. Come on, Justin Fields.
I can tell you what he's lost.
Right. Yeah. So. I'm really excited. But that's I definitely want to get into that video. That video is going to be amazing. Like Jared Goff is the most decorated quarterback in the NFC North, and barring a Jeopardy or whatever contract Aaron Rodgers is trying to get out of, we're going to win. We're going to continue to win. So,
all right. So I want to first give my little thing on Goff. So even if you say Goff sucked the last 2 years. And, for example, you got buffed up here. He's talking about Gurley. And he's saying Gurley this, Gurley that. And, I respect his opinion. Buffed up can have his opinion. But Goff had good games without Gurley before. He had a historically good 5 good game stretch with Tyler Higbee. he was amazing before, what was it, the Miami game in 2020? So what happened there? He didn't have Gurley.
His first 7 games of 2020. See, people don't understand. There was long stretches in the last 2 years in Goff's quote unquote bad years where he was good. His first 7 games of 2020, he had 101 passer rating. He had 12 touchdowns. He only had 4 turnovers in those 7 games.
Goff was on a Hall of Fame trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
He was on a Hall of Fame trajectory before he got traded. And then, obviously the media just changed the whole narrative when he got traded. So,
but
people just don't believe in Goff. I don't understand.
Well, I think
it's a multiple thing. It's he's lying now, and it's also McVay's the wonder boy of the NFL. So I disagree with that narrative. I have a lot of evidence for that, and we'll hit on that more. But I think it'll prove out over time.
But analytics, you got to prove your point. I'm sorry, man. Control.
No, you're right. I think the other thing is you got to acknowledge one thing. If you watched any of Luke's things, everyone has seen his little poster board about why we took Penei Sewell over Devontae Smith or something. It's a quarterback needs to be protected, and in my opinion, a quarterback that has all the time in the world is going to do so much better than any other quarterback that has a battle, especially one that's a good pocket passer. And the thing that I like a lot more about Goff than I do Stafford is Goff has 2 things. Number 2. He is fantastic throwing on the run. Me and Ram's house before I got I didn't get fair use, I guess. He showed some really good plays and examples of Goff being good at throwing on the run, especially on bootleg plays.
Tracking.
Number 1, the guy, he puts some spots on a perfect trajectory. He has a mind where he can think, okay, this is where this guy's going to be, where he puts it right on the money. Compared to Stafford, who would throw it for a contested catch or nail a perfect deep ball or something, but then he couldn't do like a dink and dunk.
Right.
Goff, now he has an O-line, and I would argue it might be one of his best O-lines he's ever played under. That, especially if Sewell's this guy that everyone thinks he's supposed to be. That is going to lead to a quarterback playing well. We've seen quarterbacks like Tyrod Taylor have fantastic years when he's had a good O-line. We've seen Jared Goff play elite. When he had the 6th-ranked offensive line for 2 straight years, 17-18, he was a top 5 quarterback. I'm sorry. There is no argument that he was at least not a top 10 during 2017-2018. His statistics were great. It wasn't Gurley. He had a good run game with Cam Akers this year, did he not?
It's more correlation without causation. Like they correlate Goff's success. That first year, they thought Goff was a bum. Yeah. That was when he was a St. Louis Ram. That was the idea, the mantra. Oh, this guy can't play. He can't play. He was taking passes under center. He was just dropping back the pass, taking a 5-step drop. He's not that guy. No, he's not that. He's more of, look, I want to see the field. I want to see what's going on. I need to be in the 2-shotgun formation. I need to have a hot route that's like a drag or maybe a stutter go. I need to have a deep receiver that's capable. I need to have a possession receiver, and I need to have a middle, like a immediate guy. He's worked with the Brandon Cookses of the world. He had great connection with Brandon Cooks.
Great.
It's phenomenal to me that this narrative about Goff is, he sucked the last 2 years, and his correlation with success is really just McVay coming in that second year and that third year. Now, second and third year, this guy is like leading the league and all this other nonsense, and
I got a question for you.
Not that great. Not to me. To move somebody to have a jet motion, and he's moving jet motion out of every single play.
Yep.
And his plays are literally he'll give the hand the ball off on the jet motion, but he'll give the same look, and you don't know what play it is, but we know there's going to be motion there to identify single coverage. Never mind. You had a question for me?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you know who led the league in deep ball completion percentage? Deep ball is defined as ball that travels through the air at least 21 yards.
I think I do.
2018. Who was number 1 in completion percentage in deep ball passing?
In 2018?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Goff.
Jared Goff. Mr. Can't throw the deep ball. He completed 51% of his passes that traveled through the air over 20 yards. Number 1 in the NFL.
That bothers me, man. That really bothers me. You know what? He doesn't benefit if he doesn't have a speedster on his offense. That offense moves so differently.
So there's a reason why they call it a spread offense, right? The reason they call it a spread offense is because it forces the defenses to spread their DBs apart and open up holes. McVay didn't run anything like a spread offense. Jared Goff was 99.8% shotgun quarterback at Cal, and he led the league under center for the Rams in all the years he played. That's a fact. They took Goff's way of playing shotgun, which, by the way, is the new favorite way for the NFL to play, and they made him the least person to play that way in football. Number one. Number two, they play tons of bunch and trip formations, which is honestly the opposite of spreading the ball out and spreading the defense apart.
Yeah.
They play in these bunch formations. He wants a guy going deep. He wants a guy going across the middle. He wants a guy going out. He wants to have options. He wants to read the defense and take what the defense gives him every time. That's the style of play he loves. That's not the style McVay wants. McVay wants to be the reason why every guy gets open. He wants to be the reason why every pass is completion. He wants his scheme to just be so perfect that every single play opens something up for him.
Right. Were you on that live stream? I knew about because when I was watching golf last year, I was like, they use a lot of bunches and they use a lot of rub routes and these little screens.
Yep.
Well, didn't I hear you on a live stream once saying that golf set up? No, McVay set up Aubrey Pleasant or blocked Aubrey Pleasant's job. Was that you? I heard
he blocked the offensive coordinator from getting a promotion. He tried to block Aubrey Pleasant. Aubrey Pleasant was trying to become a secondary coach for the Lions, and then he tried to block it. And then Dan Campbell said, okay, he'll be the secondary coach and the assistant defensive coordinator, which is technically a promotion you can't block. He also blocked his offensive coordinator, who doesn't call plays for the Rams, and was being told by Brandon Staley, the new head coach of the Chargers, I will give you full play calling ability, which is technically promotion. And McVay blocked that and then said, you're still not going to be calling plays in 2021. Which is a dick move, in my opinion. Yeah. You're holding that man's career back for your own ego.
He's he wants everything to run through him, and I think that's bad. Now, what you said about golf is exactly what I just said. You know, what you said about golf is like he seemed to be more comfortable in the spread formation, and to me, since 2010. That has been the offense of the league. They can try to say you have to take passes under center and all that dumb stuff. We know that's not. Since Aaron Rodgers took the helm and went 6-10 and had 4,000 yards passing, that's been the normal staple offense.
Right.
Okay, that's been it since. No one's going to beat Drew Brees and have success. Not everybody's built for that. To have success under center and all that nonsense. Sometimes guys need to see the field and see the look the defense is giving him. Another thing I have a problem with McVay is that, I think I said this on my channel, but I'm going to say it again. And I'm going to preface this by saying this is an analogy. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, it does. So I had this sergeant I was working under one of my first years in the Army. And he was trying to teach me how to shoot. I was going to my annual qualification. Annual qualification is where you have to shoot. You have to shoot 23 shots out of 40 to be qualified to hold a rifle in the Army. You have to qualify every year. Every soldier has to qualify. 23 is the base. And the sergeant I was working under, his name was Woodard. Woodard was real like McVay type, hyper focused. Vigilant, blah, blah, blah. Shooting was his life, Shooting was his life. He would yell, scream, didn't shoot right, you didn't group right, you didn't whatever. I had another sergeant, Sergeant Simpson. He's been my sergeant for 2 or 3 years now. Sergeant Simpson was more relaxed. He asked me are you comfortable? What do you need to be comfortable? How do we need to get you involved? And I liken this to golf too. If you have someone that's literally calling plays in your ear, scared for you to make the next move, you have to walk on eggshells. It's not just a psychological dig. It's a dig at your ability. You're going to doubt yourself. And I don't think he played with confidence last year. I think the most confident game he had last year was against Seattle, where he had everything to prove. And literally he proved nothing. Literally, he went out there and won a playoff game, even though his defense was supposed to be like the number one defense. He had to win that game. And he came out there and he still it was most confident I ever seen him play. He was going out the pocket, throwing on the run. I was like, okay, Jared Goff doing something. Because I really thought he was like he was a product of the system.
Mm-hmm.
But that game, I saw that game and I looked at it, I was like, oh wow, he played better than Brady did in the playoffs. To be honest with you, he played. I know I sound like I'm drinking Kool-Aid. I'm not. No drinking today. That's on Sundays. But he was just so phenomenal. I was like, I really respect this dude. I respect what he's doing, and I liken that to the what he's gonna get is what I had to deal with. I had to deal with a person who was shooting down everything I was doing when I was shooting, and making me nervous and making me walk on eggshells. And then I got a coach, or I got a sergeant that was very relaxed, asked me how I wanted to do, and I came out and I shot 35. I shot 35 out of 40. Now, did I change? No. did everything I was doing was the same, but someone unlocked my gift, and I think that could work for Goff. I know that's
Right. No, it's a good analogy. I mean, all the reports that have come out since they split is basically McVay's a control freak. He wants to control every aspect of every play. There's this weird thing, if you watch a lot of Rams games, you'll notice is when plays break down, when Goff escapes the pocket, our receivers don't run to get open, to like find him an opening. They stay where they're at. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen receivers not run to get open when the quarterback's in trouble. But for some reason, our guys don't. And the only thing I can imagine it is that McVay's a control freak and he wants everything run a very specific way. And that's been it. I mean, the whole point, that's the whole stuff that's come out since then has been basically McVay never let Goff give any input. McVay never let him audible. McVay never let him do anything.
Well, why did Aqib Talib say he let me see? That was my argument. What you said was that was my argument last Sunday when I was on with Liddy Mob. But he had told me that Aqib Talib said, he let me be me. He was cool. He was the opposite of a Bill Belichick. He let me be myself.
Well, first of all, Sean McVay sits on a cooler while the defense is happening. Sean McVay has nothing to do with the defense, so that's nonsense. Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator, who was fully in charge of the defense, let Aqib Talib be Aqib Talib. And he'd been doing that since they won a Super Bowl together at Denver. So it had nothing to do with Sean McVay. And in that same interview, that wasn't mentioned was Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters both talking bad about Sean McVay, about how he handles personnel issues. Like when they got traded and when they were being talked about, they both felt like they were lied to about that situation.
Yeah.
They didn't let Aqib play when he wanted to play. They told him he says they made excuses. Yeah, they told him to go home.
You injured.
And that's not just that. Brockers has had negative things to say. Goff has had negative things to say. Brandon Cooks has had negative things to say. Clay Matthews has had negative things to say. Yeah, Brandon Cooks is like the most meek guy in the world. So he didn't go into details. He just tweeted out and said, the Rams did me dirty in 2019. He said the truth will come out when it's time for it to come to the light. But you could tell there was some animosity, that he had like multiple concussions in 2019 and he kept going into play when he wasn't fully healthy, and he had a garbage season in 2019. And it's one of the reasons why, more than Gurley, in my opinion, more than Gurley's downturn was the fact that he had no deep threat. Because when you take a spread quarterback and put him into a team that has no deep threat, suddenly the defense condenses their 4 to 6 DBs, depending on what defensive scheme they're playing. But they played a lot of nickel against us. They a lot of dime. They packed those DBs into a 20-yard space from the line of scrimmage, 20 yards out, because they knew there was no one going to be beating them deep because Brandon Cooks is hurt. And they did the same thing in 2020. When there's no deep ball and the running game is shaky, bro, you could put all the pressure on the quarterback. You're blitzing, you're putting DBs everywhere. And guess what happens to those quarterbacks? They have bad years. That's not an offense that only Jared Goff sucked in. You put a lot of QBs in that situation, and they're going to have some bad bad times.
And I
Bad
think,
O-line, no rushing, no running game, no deep threat.
I think you heard my argument too, because I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
You heard my argument. I was saying that, he let them be them and they got traded. And McVay was shiesty like that. He let them be them and they got traded. They got, Jalen Ramsey, Well, he said that, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't need to explain that to you. I think he's a passive aggressive guy. He's a professional. And in the professional world, people are going to, we're going to fire you. You don't have to come in tomorrow. We don't have to have a confrontation. We don't have to be manly about the situation and confront you. We don't. This is not the 1990s. This is we can send you packing. You're injured a couple days. Next
problem is though, players don't like that.
Yeah, right.
And players are gonna. You know what they want? They want a guy like Dan Campbell who's gonna walk up to a key plate and say, "Hey, man, your play's not cutting it right now. We're gonna have to sit you." He wants a guy to be honest with him, and
right.
They all basically said the same thing. And you heard. I don't know if you heard Michael Brockers on with Jim Rome, and he's very pointed when he said this. He asked him, about Dan Campbell, and he said, and if you heard the inflection in his voice, the way he said, he's like McVay when he first arrived at the Rams. No ego. He made a point
to say that,
to make sure he said it just like that, and you could tell by the way he did it with his voice.
Right.
Well, and my biggest thing is at the end of the day. So there's a couple arguments I found. So Izzy's 777 brought up a really good argument for the whole McVay Gurley thing. So Izzy brought in for the Gurley argument. I could say the same thing with Lamar having both Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards. Or you can, and I think you can also maybe say that for someone like Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, or Tannehill with Henry. Perfect example, Tannehill with Henry.
At the end of the day, though,
they're not going to say that with Tannehill, though.
At the end of the day, though, here's what matters. Here's what the important part is. It doesn't matter because you just recognize if I give this guy a good running game, he'll be elite. That's it. It's the conversation over. Some quarterbacks require things. Not everyone is Russell Wilson.
Manning.
You know how many Russell Wilsons there is? There's one. There's one guy who doesn't need an O-line, a receiver, or a running back and will still put up MVP numbers. He's the only guy that exists. Even Patrick Mahomes showed he had kryptonite when the O-line didn't play well.
Stafford needs everything to be perfect.
Everyone needs something. Tom Brady has had all-pro O-lines his whole career. He's had top running games his whole career. Everyone needs stuff. The idea that, he's only good because he had a good running game and he was dynamite. You know how many quarterbacks have good running backs and still suck? There's a lot of them out there. That's not an end-all be-all argument like people think it is. He had a garbage O-line, no deep threat, no running game. That's why he played poorly. And an overbearing coach who wanted to control everything. By the way, when you have long developing plays, and this is one of the points that we're going to make hard in this video, when you have long developing pass plays in a bad O-line, guess what the freak happens? Your quarterback panics because he's getting pressured every play.
Every play is literally 5 seconds to develop, and the quarterback has 3 seconds to get the ball out. That's why the hot route is going to be really important. That's why a 2-minute offense. I would love to see a 2-minute offense with Goff in a Lions uniform. It's going to be quick reads. It's going to be high tempo. You know what I think Campbell will do to teams? He can draw out a 4-minute offense, 5-minute offense, and then the next offensive session. We're just going to go hurry up the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to call plays at the line. I think a benefit to Goff is going to be package plays. If you look at what they did for RG3 his first year. I know this is I know. I know I'm the stupid one here, right? So that's what the fans think. Anyway, RG3 came in with package plays, especially when he went on that 8 to 9 game run where they were just unstoppable. He had one read option play. He had a quick screen, bubble screen, and he would have a high developing play action pass or a run. And more often than not, he would audible into the read option, or he would opt into the quick screen, whatever. Mm-hmm. So we'd have these developing plays. So even when you try to stop one thing, you couldn't stop it. Now, what was RG3's downfall is he wanted to run less. His family wanted him to run less. Everybody run, his agent, everybody, right? So they had to take those plays out. So they were only given 2 options instead of 1. And with the running game was the RG3 running game was the secret sauce. For Goff, you can use Goff like almost a Peyton Manning. I don't think Goff is as stupid as he looks. I think Goff is a pretty smart quarterback who can recognize coverage. He can recognize a single high safety. He can recognize a cover 2 shell. And he can send Hawkinson in motion. You know, he can try to spread out. It's going to be a spread offense, so he can try to spread it out to the furthest extent because no one's going to cover Hawkinson. ESPN rated Hawkinson the top 5 talent, top 5 tight ends. So you get Hawkinson in these one-on-one matchups against safeties, not like Eddie Jackson's, more like, you know, hard-hitting safeties that haven't proven themselves in coverage. So strong safeties such as the one in Atlanta, I forget his name, or the one in Dallas, rather.
Keanu
Neal. Struggle. You pick on those type of guys. And Hawkinson already 6'5", 6'6". That's your offense. You focus on your running game. You focus on your tight end, getting him on one-on-one matchups against people he can beat. You go over the top with those speed threat receivers, and you have package plays. You send him in with 3 options, and he can just look. He can audible. He can do whatever he wants to do because he's comfortable with the look he's got. And then he can assert himself with the hurry up, or he can assert himself on the run. I think he's more sneaky athletic than what people give him credit for. Especially in that Seattle game, I seen him, you know, getting out of the pocket. And with that speed, those athletes, oh, man, it's going to be fun to watch, man. I think Goff is going to win 3 games for the Detroit Lions, hands down. Whether it be a 2-minute offensive drill, whether it be a miracle play, he's going to win. He's going to win over some people that don't believe in him. And then all this fuss that he's a 26th ranked quarterback can go away because I think he was pacified.
100%.
He was pacified.
He was real aggressive in college. He snapped that ball and he locked on to a target after, you know, locked onto the guy and threw it. The video that Luke and I are putting out is going to show a lot of this stuff, but it's incredible how much different his game looked for the Rams than it did in college. They really changed his game entirely. And I think Anthony Lynn's goal is going to be to get him back. See, the Chargers ran a lot closer to what Goff ran in college than the Rams did. And I think that's going to be helpful. And then Goff's input into the offense is going to make a huge difference as well. But yeah, why can't Tyrell and have a connection with him like Brandon Cooks did? Why can't St. Brown be the next Cooper Kupp for him? I mean, why can't Cephas be the next Robert Woods? The pieces actually line up pretty snug if you look at them properly. I mean, the skill sets are actually shockingly similar. Robert Woods had a slow 40 time. Cooper Kupp had a slow 40 time. Tyrell's a burner just like Brandon Cooks is. I mean,
right. You have doppelgangers at the right positions.
You do.
And then you have a tight end. He had Jared Cook, and that's great.
Tyler Higbee was good, but Tyler Higbee was underused, so it didn't make a difference.
Exactly. In that offense, you know, I think I only seen tight ends go on drag routes and like these deep digs, and it wasn't really a focal point. If you have a connection with that slot receiver and that tight end, it's a wrap. And you have a deep receiver that can stretch the field, and oh man, it's a wrap.
To your point, there was in 2019, the main issue we had was no deep threat, no running game, worst O-line in football, and we were still running these long developing plays. And McVay made one adjustment in the final 5 games where he let the tight end basically be a quick option for Goff. And in those 5 games, Tyler Higbee set the NFL record for most receptions and yards in a 5-game stretch by a tight end ever.
Yeah.
And then in 2020 comes along and McVay says, we're not going to do that anymore. Like he abandoned that entire premise altogether, and Goff had no safety valve anymore. But that shows you what Goff can do with a tight end when it's made available to him. They dominate together.
It boggles my mind, man. What I think, does Goff have a better year than DeAndre Swift?
I think so. I think DeAndre is going to split carries more than we think. A guy like Dan Campbell, Anthony Lynn, old school guys, Joe Staley, Deuce Staley rather. They're not gonna give heavy burn in the pass game to a guy who can't pass protect. It's just not going to happen.
I think he works on his pass protection.
I hope he does because it was real bad last year.
Deuce Staley said in his first press conference, "You can't pass protect, you can't play
exactly
on the field." So I think that was a message loud and clear, and I'm pretty sure people look at PFF or rankings better than we would like. I know Stafford is. I don't look at stats, but you're literally the biggest stat patter I've ever seen. I've seen you audible out of running plays. Like I've seen you, he does this thing where he rubs his stomach and then he's throwing a quick hitch that gets intercepted.
What's funny is Stafford's my quarterback, so I hate to be a dick about it, but I was like, everyone talks about Stafford's fourth quarter comebacks, but can we have like a stat that shows fourth quarter comeback opportunities?
Right. Why did he put us in that position?
He had more opportunities than every other quarterback in the NFL. How about fourth quarter comebacks against winning teams? Because I know how low that number is going to be.
We were 2-7, and we went on a 7-game stretch. It was a miracle. But did that team deserve to go to the playoffs in 2016? No, you didn't deserve that. That was you played against garbage teams the second half of the year, and you miraculously won. And you won in these unconventional fashions, and you thought you were a playoff team, and you got exposed by Seattle. This is what I seen. This is why I started the YouTube channel to be a detractor of this. Stafford's the greatest quarterback we've ever had. If I've had ramen my entire life and I finally go to McDonald's, does that make that McDonald's sirloin steak? Does that make cordon bleu? No, come on, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I have a couple my phone's pretty low and all that, so that means everything's about to die. And we're also pretty large into this live. We're nearly 2.5 hours.
Right.
So I just kind of want to end the stream with this. First off, I want to end with this comment. My channel is not just about stats. Even what we've been talking about has not just been stats. We've talked about film. Me and Rams House literally tried to do film the other day, but I guess we couldn't. Because copyright, I guess. Yeah. And we've literally tried. I've done film. Watch me do film on Levi Onzarike. Watch me do film on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Watch me do any of my videos. I at least bring in some plays. I mean, I wish I could bring in more like actual NFL verse plays, but most of my stuff I've shown film. So I'm not, yes. And also at the end of the day, you also got to acknowledge my YouTube name is The Analytics Den. I focus on analytics.
Right.
So it's kind of what my thing is. I'll do film, but yes, my thing is statistics.
You had a great video. I think it was like 2 months ago with Luke G. That was a great analytics. Then you had a great talk with Luke G. And you didn't just bring up stats. You brought up actual play, the flow of the game. I would say that's what I call that.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, man. All right. Any parting statements that you guys want to leave with?
I'm waiting for golf to go off.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the shirts made, man. I'm just trying to get the shirts made. I'll be at the training camp open in August. I think it's July 31st to August 8th. I think training camp's going to be open. I'll be there. I'll try to link with some more YouTubers. Served Up Sundays tomorrow. Video coming out later tonight. Man, I was really happy to be on with the Rams House. Was really happy to be on with Analytics Den, man. You're a man. You're awesome. I see you was holding yourself back. You were more of a moderator today, but I know you got that fire, man. I watch you a lot, man. I'm really impressed with you. So keep hustling, man.
Yeah, and make sure you guys go check out Avery's channel. It's some really good content. I mean, the guy's got some fantastic videos. And he's got some humor. I mean, I'm not as humorous as this guy. This guy makes me laugh. So if you want some guy who gets some good videos but has some great humor, go to his channel. Rams House has a gaming channel, but I forgot its name. But
no, don't worry about it. I don't need to plug nothing. Just say excited about the upcoming training camp, excited about the upcoming season, and I'm excited to see lots of people who are going to avoid eating crow by pretending like they didn't hate golf. It's gonna be fun.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what's gonna happen. You know what's coming. People are like, no, I didn't say Goff was gonna be bad. I was just saying you never know.
Yeah, I was buffed up, especially buffed up. He's gonna be the first one. You know what? I'm used to so many Lions fans just going down there with the beer and they don't know nothing about football. And Stafford played really well. We lost the game, but it's okay. It's still lost.
I think people are starting to know the difference, though. It's about winning. People want to see winning.
You said what?
You got to win the game.
Yeah. I thought I heard something else. Anyway, you got to win the game. People going to like Goff because he's a winner. Yeah, that's all I got. I guess I'm going to get out of here.
Yep.
Yeah. Appreciate it, guys.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
It's easy to be a running back if you can hand the ball off to other good running.
He's making fun of Lamar Jackson. It's an inside joke.
Oh yeah, Lamar Jackson's running back after 3,600 yards. What do you guys want? All right, I'll see you guys.
All right, bye. See you, Dan.